What's going on, fellow A-plussers? It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, back once again with a brand new episode of A-Plus Morphinominal here today. Your stop for your Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Tokusatsu news and reviews. Thank you very much, guys, for certainly joining us here on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. I'm actually not sure exactly how cold it is outside, but all I know is the sun is out for a change. So definitely a good start to my afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully a good start to yours also. Get an opportunity to sit down and talk Power Rangers and Tokusatsu with me, guys, as we got about maybe 5 topics or so that we're going to be getting into for you guys today, along with your guys' live honorable mentions. How do you submit a live viewer question over? Feel free to submit them over at any time at aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. Again, that's aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com. You can send your questions throughout the entirety of the week. I usually limit it to about 3 questions per person, but our live viewer questions are starting to grow on a weekly basis, which is always fantastic to see new supporters, new viewers of our channel here. So thank you very much, guys. I may be switching that here in a little bit. Instead of maybe 3 questions, maybe 1 just really good one from several people in our live viewer questions. But regardless, feel free to submit them over, whether you hear a rumor, a theory, news, watch an episode of Power Rangers or Super Sentai. Feel free to go ahead and submit your questions and thoughts over to aplusmorphinominal@gmail.com, guys. So thank you very much, everybody, for definitely joining us. I know we didn't have a live episode last week. A lot of stuff just winds up happening around here with the house, especially with the newborn on board and things like that. Sometimes just last minute things come up that we got to certainly take care of, or I realize I got to switch my focus to definitely getting something done around here in particular. So every once in a while, we may have those hiccups here, guys, but we definitely will always strive to be going live for you guys Saturday at noon Central Time. But in case you are curious, if you are following us, we like to try and keep you guys updated if anything like that does come up. So if you are subscribed to the channel, you can check us out over on our community tab. I usually like to keep you guys updated and posted there, or if you want to go ahead and join us over on our Discord forum, feel free to certainly go ahead and do so. We've got quite a few people here from our chat that usually joins us live that are certainly in our Discord forum community. If you guys are used to like forums and things like that, it's pretty much set up the same exact way. Not just talking about Power Rangers or Super Sentai, but a plethora of topics that you guys can certainly find and definitely go ahead and discuss if you want to go ahead and communicate and connect with us outside of our YouTube channel. I believe that Tilla's in there, AJ's in there, Christopher Throbbin is certainly in there also. A couple of other people here definitely hang out there in the Discord with me, and we usually talk throughout the week. So if you ever want to be updated on the channel, if for some reason we're not going live, the community tab and the Discord are the 2 best places to definitely find that out. This weekend, I'm trying to think what else we got going on this weekend. We do have a live episode of A+ Hero Report tomorrow, Sunday at 11 a.m. We've officially finished Ultraman Trigger around here. We've got a couple of more episodes of Zenkaiger to certainly get through before the finale happens. We've got some NFL championship games this Sunday, which I'm really pumped about. I can't wait to see who's going to end up going to the Super Bowl. Today we've got the Royal Rumble later on tonight for you wrestling fans. I don't know if Datilla has put up her predictions video for the Royal Rumble or not, but if you're not following Datilla, Rangers of Wrestling, a great YouTube page for all your wrestling talk, guys. So definitely go ahead and check that out. Other than that, guys, I think that's really about it in regards to channel updates. Let's see who's in the live chat, because we like to give some shout outs to people that like to take their time out of their weekend and certainly join us and hang out with us. So if you don't have your cup of Joe or your coffee or your orange juice this morning or this afternoon, sit back. Maybe look, it's 12 o'clock noon. For some people, you're just now waking up. For others, if you're an early bird, maybe you've already had your cereal and your breakfast and stuff and you're just chilling there. So whatever works for you, but sit back and definitely enjoy. Shout out to Ranger Coder. Good to certainly see you in here today, man. We got Blossom in the house asking how little Noah is. Noah's doing great. He's continuing to grow. We're not failing as parents, so that's a good thing. He's still alive. Pat us on the back for that one. But no, he's doing pretty good. He just had a doctor's appointment this past week. Continues to grow and things like that. If there is a concern that we have, they did switch his formula over maybe like a month or so ago, or it feels like about a month, or maybe it was about 2-3 weeks ago, to this like Similac formula. It tastes terrible. It absolutely tastes terrible. Like when we first initially had it, because he had a different formula before, and they just switched him recently. And I remember, anytime you do that heat check to make sure the temperature is pretty cool on the bottle. I remember tasting it a couple times, and that Similac is nasty as F. But he's not finishing his bottles all the time. Sometimes he's super hungry, he'll kill his bottle. Other times he'll only drink about half, maybe three-quarters of it, sort of thing. And just trying to get him to finish it is like, it's torturous. I mean, homeboy just constantly pushing it out of his mouth, like turning his head, wants nothing to do with it, sort of thing. So there are some concerns I have in regards to him not finishing his food all the time. But I think the doctor did ask us, like, do you think it just tastes bad? Do you think he just doesn't like the taste? Initially, I don't think we had that thought in mind. But now I'm starting to think, yeah, I don't think he likes the taste of it as much as we certainly don't. So we'll keep an eye on him. But other than that, he's doing fantastic. He's just growing in front of my eyes every day. Shout out to Frankie. What's up, Frankie? Thank you very much for joining us. Johnny Morero's in the house. What's up, man? He says today's my birthday. Happy birthday, Johnny. Listen, everybody in the live chat, wish Johnny a fantastic happy birthday today. Make him feel special, man. So thank you very much, Johnny, for spending your birthday with us, guys. And remember, listen, if you're in the live chat, if you continue to come here week after week and you love the content that we dish out, do us a big favor, man. Hit that like button. The like button really does go a long way. And if you want to go ahead and leave your thoughts after this video streamed, leave your thoughts in the comment section. Those definitely do go a long way. We got Jordan in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Thank you very much for certainly coming through. JB says, what? Is here too. So thank you very much, man. We got Isaiah in the house. Ram Jam, thank you very much. Ram Jam, I'm glad you're here. I'm reading a new Star Wars book called Race to Crash Point Mountain. I think it's like a young reader's little novel. It's only like 130 pages or something like that. I just got introduced to a brand new Jedi by the name of Ram Jamaram or something like that. It's like Ram Jamaram. And every time I read his name, Ram Jam, I just think of you. So yeah, just so you know, you have a Jedi that's almost like you, my friend. Sarav's in the house. What's up, Sarav? Good to certainly see you today. We got Edward Sanchez Productions in the house. Thank you very much. Sarav says, happy birthday, Adam. No, it's not my birthday. It's Johnny's birthday. It's not my birthday. It's Johnny's birthday. I don't want to take his credit. I don't want to take his birthday credit. What's up, Jordan? Appreciate it. What's up, Datilla? Good to see you in here as always. We got Izzy in the house. He says, hey, Adam and A-plusers. Been away for a minute, but I hope everyone is happy, having a happy new year so far. Very much so, Izzy. Thank you very much for certainly joining us. Jab's in the house. What's up, man? Enrique is here also. He says, it's almost February. That means Zenkaiger finale is almost here, and Donbrothers press conference. I'm really excited for the press conference. I'm assuming, if anything, at the press conference, we'll not only be introduced to the cast officially, we'll probably get ourselves a trailer, which I'm really looking forward to, and maybe some more official photos. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Let's see here. Who else we got? Cobra. What's up, Cobra? Appreciate you coming through. Says, good thing that Chance apologized for not knowing about posting about NFTs. Would have be offensive to people. We'll definitely talk about that today, Cobra. Thank you very much for joining us, man. Common Rider 64. What's going on, brother? Good to see you in here as well. Let's see here. Who else we got? Any other fresh faces or familiar faces? Charles is certainly in the house. He says, what up, Adam, my general? That's Jamaican slang. Oh, really? My general? Okay, I kind of dig that. Makes me feel more important than I am. Tony Robinson. What's up, Tony? Always good to see you in here, man, as always. And Jazz says the reboot is about to go crazy. Yes, most definitely. Let me give me a minute to take a sip off of my Winnie the Pooh mug here. Get some coffee energy in me. We got Midwest Tokusatsu certainly joining us today. Thank you very much, guys. Always good to certainly see you. Just so you guys know, I am also in the process of rewatching Dino Fury, the second part. If anything, I am still working towards our award ceremony here that we're definitely going to be having. So yeah, just know I am in the process of rewatching Dino Fury all over again. I've watched like episodes 1 through 9 so many times now. I'm just right now at this particular point just trying to get my nominees together for my awards. So I'm just watching the second half of Dino Fury, whatever Netflix dropped in its second package. So episodes was it 12 to 22 is what I'm currently rewatching right now. I just rewatched episodes 12 and 13 yesterday. Had the opportunity to rewatch the Izzy and Fern episode, and we'll actually kind of talk a little bit about that here also. Cobra Kai says Adam flexing his mug. I mean, I don't know if I'm flexing my Winnie the Pooh mug on purpose. I definitely need to get me some A+ More Phenomenal or A+ Hero Report mugs for sure, so I can promote my channel. Maybe some of you guys will have some afternoon coffees with me while we're watching or talking some Power Rangers and stuff, guys. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll start doing some marketing and some branding around here. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys. I think with that out of the way, we probably should start getting into some of our main topics, which I'm really eager to definitely go ahead and get into some awesome topics. Honestly, we got some news and rumors in regards to the Power Ranger reimagining that we're going to be having here shortly. We got award ceremony here apparently for Dino Fury. We'll talk a little bit about that. Clearly the Chance Perez NFT stuff, and then we're going to be diving into 2 tokusatsu articles for you guys, one from Ultraman Trigger and one of course from Donbrothers. So definitely some stuff, and then we're going to get to your guys' live viewer questions. Common Rider does say there are rumors about Zoologer getting adapted next year. Yeah, we've been talking about the rumors for quite some time here, Common Rider. I believe maybe a few weeks back, maybe actually probably sometime last year, I believe the Illuminati was mentioning the possibilities of Zoologer being next year's adaptation. So wouldn't surprise me, would not surprise me at all if that was the case, but we'll see what actually ends up happening. Well, let's go ahead and start getting into some of these topics this week. The first one actually does come to us from the Illuminati as well. So thank you very much. I guess that was a really nice little segue into this particular article, as new rumors and news have officially dropped in regards to the upcoming Power Rangers reboot movie and universe that Hasbro is certainly putting together for us. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that this information actually came from a Twitter user. We've actually, me and Jinsaku are pretty cool, honestly. We definitely talk from time to time, but I did not know that he actually posted this bit of information. But this actually comes from the Twitter user Jinsaku, but it looks as though Illuminati wind up picking up on it and put together an article. So let's go ahead and talk about it, guys, because there are brand new rumors, so possible updates and wild rumors. So I would say, if anything, maybe take this stuff with a grain of salt until Hasbro itself actually does confirm it at some particular point in time. Feel free to, if you want to believe it, if you don't want to believe it, that's certainly more than fine. But again, when it comes to rumors, I always tell people, take it with a grain of salt. Nothing wrong with speculating and having a good time theorizing about what Power Rangers could certainly be in the future. But I would say, if anything, don't hold anything too concrete until we actually get something confirmed. But so it should be interesting to definitely see what they're going to be diving into. So let's go ahead and get into this article and see exactly what these possible updates and wild rumors. I love how the title of the article is in here. Not to lock itself down in the sense of confirming much of anything, but possible updates and wild rumors. Definitely got to cover your ass for sure, just in case if anything does change. But let's go ahead and dive into this, guys. I'm eager to see what Jinsaku is certainly talking about this week. Let's go ahead and pull this up. Boom. There we go. From the Illuminati. It says, once again, Ranger Nation, we are on the verge of the evolution of Power Rangers as we know it, with Jonathan Entwistle at the helm of the upcoming Netflix reboot, just as we approach the 30th anniversary too. For a while, official details have been impossible to find. Luckily, that may be changing very soon. It says, here's what's going on. This is last year, Jinsaku took to Twitter to reveal many details about the rough draft of a completed script, which mostly really coincided with what a writer of ours reported about a few months prior to that. But now he's back bringing new information to light, most of which appear to be accurate, according to this. So it seems as though Illuminati's source is confirming at least some of the things that Jinsaku's Twitter account has been releasing to us. So remember, we did mention the idea months ago, if not last year, when it came to the Illuminati. They talked highly about one of the potential scripts for Power Rangers, right? Giving us little details here and there. And within the past couple of months, Jinsaku recently came up, apparently had gotten his hands on that particular leaked script that was no longer being used and revealed some details in regards to it. So Jinsaku has been sort of backing up what some of the Illuminati findings have been in the past. Whereas here, it seems as though the Illuminati source is maybe now confirming or debunking maybe some of what Jinsaku is certainly saying here. So, according to Jinsaku, the new script is officially done, not the old one that he had previously leaked. Where'd it go? Did I just click on something wrong here? Oops, yeah. My bad. So it says the new script is done, not the old one that he officially leaked. It says one actor has already been cast. He's hearing that it's from Ginny and Georgia on Netflix. Never personally seen the show myself. Also saying it's a full-on reboot, no more multiverse. So that's fascinating in and of itself. It does say expect a deadline announcement within a couple of months. And he also says filming in Vancouver, Canada in August. And then he also goes ahead and showcases his previous post that he highlighted, which we talked about here, that the 2023 film will not be in theaters on Netflix, which we predicted months ago. It says the new show will make a movie as well, like most Netflix shows. Dino Fury being the last traditional season, and a new movie and show is hella mature. No open castings, looking for A-list actors. So it looks like, okay, so this I feel like all this is pretty new for the most part. So yeah, no open casting, looking for A-plus or A-plus actors, A-list actors. New movie and show is hella mature. Dino Fury, the last traditional season. New shows will feel like a movie as well, like most of Netflix shows usually do. That's usually in turn with the production value and just camera work that they use. And we already know about the Netflix stuff. But yeah, apparently filming in Vancouver, Canada. Deadline should be making an announcement here within a couple of weeks. A full-on reboot, no more multiverse. One actor has been cast, and apparently the script is done. So that's what Jinsaku is letting us know. He says there is a lot to digest here, so let's get into it. First of all, the script is complete. And Illuminati confirms that. He says, I can say that with complete and absolute certainty. After numerous drafts, Hasbro finally landed on the right one for the direction they want to go. What the plot is about, however, is something we don't know officially yet. So, guys, the script is done. According to the Illuminati and according to Jinsaku, Illuminati confirming that concept or that idea at least, which is kind of exciting. You know, I was kind of curious to see what Brian Edward Hill, who is the writer of this particular movie, you know, months ago, we reached out to him. I asked him specifically, like, what draft are you on? Is this the first draft? Are you working on the final draft? He unfortunately couldn't say at the time when I asked him, but he did at least back up the idea that Jonathan Entwistle is, in fact, a genius. So if Brian Edward Hill appreciates and approves sort of the direction in which Jonathan Entwistle wants to take this universe and give him high praise, we might be onto something special here, because I'm a really big fan of Brian Edward Hill's work. And so if he was able to finally script together something that Jonathan Entwistle and Hasbro were happy with, I'm glad. You know, one of the things that we were definitely worried about with the pushback of Snake Eyes from Paramount, the pushback of Transformers from Paramount, well, not the pushback of Snake Eyes, but just how Snake Eyes just really underwhelmed at the box office sort of thing. We had been hearing rumblings that, you know, Hasbro kind of wanted to take a step back to make sure that the version of the film that they have in mind is the one that is going to be rather successful. They want to make sure that they certainly get it right. And they definitely have been taking their time in regards to trying to do that, which I certainly respect. So if the script is done, it sounds very much like the Illuminati states that everybody's pretty happy with what they have. And have landed on the right one for the direction that they certainly want to go. So, baby steps. This movie is in the process of being put together. It says all that we know for sure is that it will no longer be about time travel or anything multiverse related. While that may come as a disappointment for some of you, I think it's most likely for the best. Let's not forget that Hasbro E1's basically building a new shared universe with Entwistle and Netflix. Jumping in headfirst into the multiverse would be playing the trump card as soon as the game starts. It makes no sense to deliver your most valuable resource immediately. It will be more gratifying for everyone if Hasbro builds an encompassing arc across multiple movies and shows, ending with something like Shattered Grid event, which I would assume is what they intend to do. So that last portion is just an assumption under their part, under the impression that with Jonathan Entwistle creating and reimagining and really having to build a brand new shared universe, if anything, they're probably going to keep their own continuity, not necessarily introduce the concept of multiverse as of yet. Maybe that's something that they definitely build up to, which I can certainly understand that. If anything, the time travel element I was pretty fond of when it was originally announced. The idea of kids from the present being thrusted back into the 90s. I think there's always something great about just the nostalgia factor of the 90s, but I feel like maybe that's kind of being overdone a little bit these days. The idea of anything multiverse related, like I guess for me, my biggest quarrel and concern with this, and I feel two types of way about this. Okay, the first way I feel about it is, you know, I've loved the Power Ranger franchise over the past 28 years, 29 years. It'll be a real disappointment to like have none of that have ever sort of existed. You know what I mean? I've always really liked the idea of establishing something new, focusing on something new, creating something new, but keeping what came before kind of intact, even if it's not something that you plan on ever revisiting, right? The sense of just little Easter eggs here and there, the idea of familiar actors maybe popping back up from time to time felt kind of promising, if you will, especially with just the love that past seasons have been getting from previous fans. You know what I mean? So the idea of the multiverse, um, granted, does that, I guess technically that has to mean, the other Power Ranger teams, because not everybody, unfortunately, is in the same earth. You know what I mean? They're kind of scattered. Each team is kind of scattered all over the place throughout the multiverse. So, if anything, I do hope that there are at least remains to be some sort of connective tissues to the past that came before. Even if it is just simply MMPR history, I would be okay with that because I get the idea of having to want to create something new. And especially when you're trying to create something like a shared universe, you really want as much of the sandbox to play in as you can, right? The idea of having like this blank canvas instead of like half of a blank canvas, like, hey, all this stuff came before. Now you guys got to work in this kind of little space, if you will, and not step on other creators and past series feet, if you will, right? So I get the idea of if you are creating a brand new shared universe, you really just want a blank canvas to kind of work in and really create something new, whether that be brand new teams, brand new Power Ranger lore. I would be kind of curious to see, like, is this going to erase Zordon and everything MMPR related, or will it at least pick up, do its own thing, but maybe have some connective tissues, if you will, to the previous MMPR seasons? I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed for that, but the idea of nothing multiverse related right now kind of worries me. But I get it. I am fascinated and curious to see them build off of what this new creation is that they're going to be giving us. So, I do feel a certain way about it, but I definitely understand it and certainly willing to definitely give it a shot. It says, while the completion of the script is an indication of major progress being in pre-production, we can confirm that Hasbro is currently in the early stages of the casting process. Don't know about A-list actors, but they are searching for some well-known actors to don the morphers. I should not have to say this, but I feel like I need to. please do not send in any audition videos. Neither Hasbro, E1, Netflix, or Jonathan Entwistle is going to view them because it would be highly unprofessional. So listen, in today's day and age, you got to leave disclaimers like that, unfortunately. I mean, the level of entitlement and the comfortability of some people to be approaching some of these big companies and these big writers and stuff. The audacity, it's pretty startling, honestly. So I get the disclaimer these days. But listen, I was never under the impression that they would land A-list actors per se. Not to say that Power Rangers is certainly like beneath them, if you will, but it is one of those things like Power Rangers has a lot of progression to do before maybe even getting A-list actors. The idea of at least getting well-known actors, I can clearly see that. I think even some of the actors that we've named in our fantasy casting for Power Rangers, not A-list, but well-known and recognized actors, sort of thing. So I will be interested to see who they wind up getting for this. To me, this makes me feel like one, we're not going to get just some Joe Schmo off the street that's never had any acting experience in their life. They probably will have had to carry a show before in the past or been a part of some pretty decently sized shows that a lot of people are certainly familiar with or from past movies, sort of thing, whether that be just Netflix films or Netflix series. Who certainly knows? I mean, one of the things that I'm kind of hoping for is that with Jonathan Entwistle, with him having done some previous work with Netflix, I am curious if he will reach out to some of the other actors that he's worked with in the past for some of his shows. I've been really hoping like Wyatt Olive, he's been in It 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. He's also worked, I think, on maybe both Jonathan Entwistle projects, or at least one of Jonathan Entwistle's projects on Netflix, sort of thing. I would love to see him as Billy, but I'm always open to anybody else that they feel certainly fits the part. But I think the idea of at least A-list actors, if people were hoping for like a Tom Holland, yeah, no, that type of stuff, unfortunately, is not happening. Not to say that it can't in the future, but Power Rangers definitely has a mountain to climb in order to get that sort of recognition. Here's what's not happening. So that I guess they're confirming some of the things that were said and some of the things that may be a little bit off. So it does seem like we are in the midst of pre-production right now. Script is done. Early stages of casting has in fact begun, and the idea of the multiverse not being a concept as of right now. The mention of someone from the hit Netflix drama Ginny and Georgia already being cast was enough to make my eyebrows squint, because that piece of information is inaccurate according to the Illuminati source. No one has been cast as of yet. It's possible that we may see some of Netflix familiar faces become Rangers, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. That goes especially for those of you who have been fan casting Cobra Kai actors as Power Rangers. Settle down, please. So we'll see. We'll see how accurate the Ginny and Georgia casting certainly will be. Illuminati doesn't believe that it is accurate, since it is still very much in the early stages. I mean, they could certainly have people that maybe they've auditioned and maybe have their eyes on, but maybe they don't have necessarily their short list kind of put together, right? So we'll see what happens here. As far as the fan casting for Cobra Kai, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know it says to settle down and not get ahead of yourselves here. It would not surprise me though if one of the Cobra Kai actors wind up landing the role for Power Rangers. It almost feels like a pretty good fit, if you ask me. I know people have been asking, what's the Johnny Lawrence's kid's name? I think the actor's name is Tanner Buchanan or Tanner or something. I can't, maybe it's Tanner or something like that. I know people have been really wanting this dude to be like the new Tommy of the group. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I don't think he's that strong of an actor, honestly. But martial arts wise, yeah, the guy definitely has it for sure. Like when I see him, I can see the appeal that people would certainly have. So we'll see if any of the Cobra Kai actors end up becoming Power Rangers. Like even Sam, Daniel LaRusso's daughter. I can see her, maybe even Peyton List at some point in time. Who knows? Maybe the kid that plays Hawk on Cobra Kai. We'll see. It doesn't seem as though that show is leaving or canceling anytime soon. They at least have a season 5. Whether or not they're going to have a season 6, we'll definitely see. Another thing that was mentioned was new movie and show being hella mature. Neither of those will be hella mature. However, they will be more mature. The maturity rating would most likely be 13 plus, which we kind of figured, right? I think that isn't there like a TV 14 or something like that? You can expect the maturity level to be somewhere around Dean Israelite's Power Ranger film in 2017. My sympathies go out to who are expecting to see what would happen if Quentin Tarantino or Zack Snyder made a Power Ranger movie. Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily going to go that dark. Listen, I'm not going to take it off the table and say that they can't really push sort of the PG-13 envelope a little bit, especially if they're working certainly with Netflix. I'm not expecting ever the level of Quentin Tarantino or Zack Snyder level of darkness when it comes to Power Rangers. But I think a lot of us, when I think of trying to be a little bit more mature, I think of like CW shows, honestly, or like some HBO Max kind of series, not necessarily pushing the TV rating to like mature, like MA, but diving in sort of that young adult type of maturity level, like they say 13 up, maybe TV 14, sticking in that particular age range, especially if you're going from, like, literally, if you're going from a show that's meant for 6-year-olds to a show that's meant to 13 and 14-year-olds. There's definitely a huge maturity growth, just in storytelling wise. And you guys have seen plenty of these television shows to know exactly what level of maturity they're certainly talking about here. So hella mature, I get what they're saying in the sense of like it's going to be a lot more mature than we certainly expect. But yeah, I'm definitely not expecting dark and gritty. They're definitely going to be making something that's for young adults and adults as well, to be able to connect with a little bit more. I do believe Jin when he said to expect the deadline announcement within a couple of months. The time frame seems to be right, considering E1's president Michael Lombardo said in November last year. He says, since we set up Power Rangers with Jonathan, we pitched a really a whole world approach. It's not just one show. It is shows followed by films, plural, all of these, some kids programming as well. And we have found a great writing partner for him, and they are off, knock on wood. Netflix is excited. We're excited. We hope to have something for you soon. So it does say here that they have a fourth quarter call. Hasbro does February 7th. Yeah, February 7th. Not saying that that's where they'll make the announcement, because this is they will report any sort of potential news. But Michael Lombardo did certainly say soon. It is going to be the branching off of a new year here. Whether or not this is what they mean by giving us more news, we'll see. I hope so. I hope so. When it comes to February 7th, it is before Dino Fury releases its second season on Netflix. So it does make me wonder if they'll talk about the return of Dino Fury, or if they'll even hold off on any announcements until the second half of Dino Fury has at least dropped. So again, not confirming February 7th will give us news, but these earnings calls are always interesting for me, honestly. Trying to think if there's anything else. Other than that, I think that's it when it comes to all the details here, guys. So I'm liking what I've seen. This is how movies are made. Definitely takes its time. Not everything comes out immediately once it's announced. You want to get Power Rangers right when you invest $512 million. It's not something you just want to throw on the wall and kind of hope it sticks, right? Especially with Hasbro really taking this leap into entertainment. They went ahead and purchased Entertainment One specifically, not just for Power Rangers, but to really leave an imprint on the entertainment world. And by doing that, you need concrete and really steadfast content, really capable writers and directors to certainly come on board. And I think Hasbro's been putting at least when it comes to their corporate side, have been putting the right people in the position to greenlight television shows, hopefully that of Power Rangers, that are really unique, that are really different, and that can give us something fresh and unique. I mean, for me, it really gets me excited to know that they are focusing on this as a whole world approach, that they're really building sort of a shared universe in here, having several different pieces that will eventually connect and really tell this big overarching story. That's just super compelling to me when it comes to Power Rangers. So I can't wait to see what they have in store for us. Again, there is a part of me that certainly will miss the concept and the idea of Super Sentai footage and stuff. I mean, look, they still talk about kids programming will certainly still be a part of it. I do think that there will be at least a Power Rangers show that will be somewhat formulaic to what we've had so far on, say, Nickelodeon for all these years and Netflix, maybe minus the Super Sentai footage though, and maybe more all original footage. But so I do think that there's going to be a little bit of everything for everyone out there, and I think that's the correct mindset to definitely have if you're Hasbro, for sure, right? Understanding that your audience has certainly grown, has definitely changed in age range, right? You're no longer you're going from 6-year-olds, but you're also going to those that are in their 30s now, for people that joined on Power Rangers when they were, early teens as well. So, you definitely have to try and appeal to everybody. But I'm liking the sound of what we got here. It feels like development is moving. Whether you want to say it's moving slowly or not, hey, I'd rather take that than move way too fast. So a script is done. Auditions are in early stages of actually happening in here. Maybe no A-list actors per se, but we're definitely going to begin ourselves a little bit more mature storytelling, which I'm always a really big fan of. I think one of my frustrations with just watching the kids programming right now is the sense of, while I do think that they are maybe pushing the envelope a little bit, we are still getting sort of those classic lessons of the day sort of thing, right? The very on the nose, in your face sort of life lessons, which I appreciate. Don't get me wrong, but I think we would like to see more realistic story arcs for some of these characters. More, not everybody lives in sunny LA, you know what I'm saying, or like sunny Angel Grove, or comes from great background sort of thing. Like I would like to see a little more real life infused into this Power Ranger world, mixed in with great fantasy and sci-fi storytelling. I do think that there's a world out there that can certainly happen. So I'm loving everything I'm hearing so far, guys. But we'll see. We'll definitely continue to keep you guys updated and posted as more information drops. Again, the fourth quarter call will be here. What's that, next week? The week after, maybe. So we're about a week and like 2 days away from the fourth quarter call. But if there is any new information that drops on that call, we'll definitely go ahead and keep you posted. And then if anything, maybe make an impromptu video for you guys, something to talk about in the middle of the week before we talk about it here on A Plus More Phenomenal. But I see a lot of people have wind up leaving a bunch of comments. So let's go ahead and dive into some of your guys' comments and see what you're saying in regards to the news segment that we have in regards to this. Let's see here. Oh, I got to scroll up pretty high. I may not be able to get to everybody. Hey, Campbell Cooley was in the house briefly. What's up, Campbell? Appreciate it. Hey, giving you birthday props, Johnny. Look at that. Good old Campbell Cooley coming through, man. Thank you very much. I hope your Pasadena convention went well, Campbell. I had one of my friends, Datilla, come by to say hi to you since I couldn't be there. Don't know if you remember her or not, but yeah, she said she had a great time being up there. Let's see here, man. You guys were talking a bunch. I had like 100 comments, so I got to scroll through here again. Let me see if I can catch up with what some of you guys are saying. Let's see here. Enrique says I revisited watching Power Rangers Megaforce episodes 1 and 3 in Latin America. I'm curious how you felt about rewatching Megaforce. Is it still as brutal to watch, or are you enjoying yourself? Where you guys at? Where is this? Cobra. I hope Hasbro doesn't make the new movie a full-on reboot and just forget about the main universe. If it takes place in another dimension in the same continuity, that would be fine. For me, I think that's kind of my worry and concern, if any. Like, yeah, I get look and look again. I get both sides of it. Like, I get the idea of Hasbro. When you say reboot and a reimagined, I am just kind of very much under the impression that, like, we're starting this from scrap. We're just taking the concept and the idea of Power Rangers. Are we going to be introduced to the very first, like, is this going to be the new first team, right? With our first mentor that come across these powers, sort of thing, and there's no connection to the past, and we just go off and tell the story that we certainly want to, or is this kind of like a what came in the past happened, right? But we're just moving on and not necessarily focusing on that anymore. Like, if they literally want to just make a new MMPR team, new design, new power set, whatever the case may be, but there's connections to like a past lineage, or something like that, then I'm okay with, then I'll be okay with that idea of taking something old, making it brand new, and just continuing on the path of brand new storytelling without necessarily jumping back, to all the stuff that came before. I know that's going to be shitting on like a ton of Power Ranger fans, and like if you were fans of like Mystic Force or Jungle Fury or Operation Overdrive or Ninja Storm, right? Like, I do wonder if all of that stuff will certainly have been forgotten. Maybe that's a reason why they maybe put all these past or these old Power Ranger content over on YouTube. Not to say that their YouTube channel is like the graveyard where old Power Ranger series go to die, sort of thing, but maybe that's one of the reasons why it's kind of been taken off of Netflix. I don't know. Maybe they truly want to be able to focus on just what's brand new and what's coming forward. But there is a part of me that if it is a full on reboot, I'm definitely going to feel some type of way about it. But at the end of the day, I understand why they would certainly approach it that way. But there is a part of me that just hopes that it's fresh, brand new. But please let there be some connections to the past. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want some sort of connections. Um, I don't, and like Sarab says, do you think the classic universe should be done away with? You know, I don't necessarily know if it should be done away with so much as I feel like maybe we just don't talk about it as much, but it's still there. You know what I mean? Because I do think it's important to understand like just where it came from. Because look, 29, 28, that's a lot of continuity. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot to have to worry about kind of carrying over. Whereas, like, for me, I really would want them to just focus on the story that they're telling and not necessarily have to worry about anything. Like, if there is only one season that Jonathan Entwistle's Power Rangers that I would be okay with it referring back to, it probably would be MMPR. I'm just being honest. I know a lot of people are like, oh, why MMPR? But I'm just being honest. Like, I just feel like MMPR season could truly be like the core foundation of what came before, and now you're just launching this reboot and reimagined off of that sort of thing. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And this is all just speculation on my part right now. Tony Robbins says, I think the TV original universe will exist in the Rangerverse. So he believes it'll definitely have its place in the big overall scheme of things. Jab Jab says, I finished Ginny in Georgia about a week ago. Interesting. How did you like the series? Cobra Kai says, overall, a darker tone like Titans wouldn't be good, but it depends on the story, like Shattered Grid or something. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if I need it to be as dark as Titans. That's actually, I believe that's TVMA. I believe that is like for mature audiences. So yeah, I definitely don't need it like that. If I can get something along the lines of like what CW is producing, sort of thing, right? I would be perfectly okay with that. And I say CW because one, CW I think has great young adult shows. Like I just think it has shows that really dive into those in that young adult sort of high school age, if you will. I do think they do a pretty good job of hitting the tone perfectly right. So I am kind of under the impression it'll be more 13 and up sort of thing. That TV 14, if I'm not mistaken. Midwest says hella mature. Definitely want to broaden the appeal, but don't make it so dark and gritty to the point to where it's a joke. Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there, Midwest. So I'm under the impression it's not going to be that mature. Jordan says, I'm fine with the reboot because you can always do a multiverse later on in the franchise, which, in my opinion, is a better move anyway. And you know what? You make a good point there, Jordan. The idea and the build up, listen, it could also be one of those things that, like, if we are doing a reboot, right? And again, the Shattered Grid concept was just a speculation by the writer and the Illuminati thing. But the idea of establishing something brand new, right? Having multiple pieces, so multiple shows, multiple movies, kids programming, all in which kind of build to sort of the same moment, if you will, or the same story arc. You know, at that point in time, if you are going eventually to something like, say, Shattered Grid, right? Who's to say that while they do focus on just reboot and reimagining this world, who's to say by the time that they get to doing a big event, or if Shattered Grid or the multiverse is something they eventually want to tap into, who's to say that they could not bring back those countless 28, 29 years or seasons worth, right? Or a cameo or two sort of thing. So I do think that there is a world and an opportunity where it's not fully forgotten, but maybe just shelved until the right time. You know what I mean? And I think when you're dealing with something like the multiverse, I mean, DC's dabbling in it, Marvel's definitely dabbling in it. Also, the possibilities certainly are endless, but give yourself a solid starting point to earn that type of film. Like I've heard so many people comment to me, "Oh man, Adam, the next Power Ranger movie, it's got to be like No Way Home with the multiverse, or what's the other one that they? Oh, it's got to be like Endgame, you know, like big and bump." And I try and tell people all the time, like, you got to earn that, you know. All these Spider-Man movies up until this year earned that particular No Way Home moment. You know, the 15 plus 16 plus years of the MCU and these big movies earned themselves an endgame sort of moment. You know, Power Rangers can barely get one movie off the ground and it be financially successful, right? So baby steps, baby steps. So I get the idea of the writer in the Illuminati saying, listen, that's something that it's got to be worked up to. It's got to be worked up to and actually earned. So maybe that's the plan also. Maybe that's a possibility that where we do get ourselves a full on reboot and reimagine and creating something new, building up a massive story arc. And then maybe if you do introduce the multiverse or a Shattered Grid concept, maybe that's when we start bringing back some of those traditional seasons to kind of fit into the grand scheme of things. So who knows? Maybe it's just not their time right now. Blossom said, and to clarify, and by traditional season, you mean the last time that they use Super Sentai, right? Yeah, that's the way that when I hear Dino Fury set to be the last traditional season, I am under the impression that it means the last time that they wind up using Sentai footage in that traditional sense. Now, again, when it comes to the rumors of Zoosier out there, one of the things that we've been talking about is sort of that buffer, right, between Dino Fury season and the new reimagined Jonathan Entwistle stuff, maybe giving themselves a buffer. But who knows? With the script apparently being done and auditions certainly maybe are in the early stages of taking place, do we even get ourselves a Zoosier, right? Is there even any need for a buffer? But who knows? I mean, things are definitely going to be done differently once Dino Fury is now officially on Netflix. So we'll see. We'll see what's up in the air. But I'm under the impression when they say it's going to be the last traditional, the term traditional season, I think includes original footage and Super Sentai. I think the way that they've done it is going to go bye bye. JB says, "What?" Says, "I'm not a fan of reboots, but will support it." I would definitely say certainly maybe check it out the first couple of episodes, see how you're liking it. Maybe it's something that's the way Jonathan Entwistle and Brian Edward Hill pulls it off. Maybe the reboots won't be so bad. Gamers Force says, "Is Dino Fury the last season?" It may be the last season in the traditional sense, in regards to how we've known it. There are rumors and speculation that Zoologia may be dropping in the sense of that buffer between Dino Fury and the new stuff that we get. But we'll see if things continue to go smoothly with this upcoming movie and series from Jonathan Entwistle. Maybe there is no need for a buffer season. JB says, "Wes says that's what Halloween do does, and it works ignoring facts of the past." Yeah, the new Halloween stuff definitely has worked, right? Well, I guess if anything, it's the sense of creating something new, but also harkening back to the classic, because it is one of those things where we got the traditional one, the original one. Then we've had a bunch of sequels. They've tried to reboot it for a while, but this most recent reboot, um, well, I guess it doesn't even feel like a reboot. It almost feels like a revival in a sense that it is doing something new, but it is still having its connective tissues to the very original movie itself. So maybe that's what you're referring to in a sense that, they could reboot and reimagine and do something new with this, but still at least harken back to MMPR from time to time. Game of Force is hoping that we do get ourselves a Zoologia adaptation. I would be cool with that. I honestly would be cool with that, especially if they want to do something for like the 30th anniversary, unless they have plans for something else. S. Karoma's in the house. I'm feeling good today, man. Thank you very much for certainly coming through as always. Jordan says, "I see it as you don't want the multiverse in your first reboot movie. That'd be like the MCU kicking off with No Way Home in a way." Yeah, exactly, exactly. You gotta earn it for sure. Baby steps to get to that. So Rob says, "Do you think adapting Zoosier is worth adapting?" To be honest with you, as while I wouldn't mind seeing it, I still don't necessarily think that we need it. I wouldn't mind it. Do I think it's a season that's needed? No. I'm cool with the idea of like, and I personally, I'm cool with the idea of Power Rangers not being on the air for like a year, year and a half. I'm cool with the idea of the show sort of taking a hiatus to get everything in line for certainly what's to come. I mean, that may not be a popular opinion. Um, but if there's something that they want to do, and I think for if anything, with this being a 30th anniversary upcoming, I think if anything, I think that's probably why there's a need to want to do something. You know what I mean? To celebrate, if you will. So maybe the Hasbro had, because if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I remember hearing Joe from the Illuminati mentioning that they had something planned. Hasbro has something planned for the 30th anniversary that was outside of the possible Zoologia adaptation. So, I would be cool with Power Rangers taking a year hiatus off and Hasbro doing something significantly special for the 30th anniversary. Not necessarily adapting a series, but maybe something else. But that's just me, though. I'm cool with the idea of Power Rangers not being on TV for like a good year. Jab Jab says Cobra Kai seems too good to be true, in my opinion. No, I feel like that's probably pretty reasonable. He says, Mary Mouser as Pink Ranger, please. Yeah, I think if anything, she might line up pretty perfectly. And there's a Tanner Buchanan once again as the Green Ranger. I knew it was going to pop up at some point in time. I don't feel it's too good to be true, though, Jab Jab. Like, I feel like those are well-known actors at this point in time and stage in their career now after the success of something like Cobra Kai. I feel like it would be a natural progression, honestly. Christopher Throbbins says CW Power Rangers. Yeah, probably. And listen, I would definitely love to watch that show. The way that CW has handled a lot of um there's their Arrowverse stuff over the years. I mean, look, he's Cobra Kai says, God, I hope they don't go CW. But then you just gonna say, unless it was like Stargirl or Superman and Lois quality. I mean, listen, that's the type of quality that we're talking here. We're definitely talking about a CW budget, a bigger budget, if not clearly a bigger budget than what we're getting. That's certainly what we're kind of referring to, mixed in there with some high school drama and things like that too, I'm sure. So that those are the levels that I'm certainly talking about. I mean, if you're talking about season one of Arrow or like the start of like Arrowverse stuff, no, I mean we're definitely talking about new and improved stuff here for sure. I don't know why people don't like CW or give CW a shit show so much. I mean, Arrow was an outstanding season, outstanding series. The Flash was fantastic, at least up until like the last 3 or 4 seasons. Black Lightning was incredible. Supergirl was kind of hit or miss. Batwoman in its third season here is finally getting its footing. We got Stargirl, which is a hit. Superman and Lois, which is a hit. I mean, we got all these CW shows that are really, I mean, Riverdale's a hit. So I don't know where all the complaining is coming from. These television shows are doing fantastic. There are plenty of television shows that wish that they got the notoriety of a CW show for sure. So no, I definitely disagree with the idea that it would be worse if it went to the CW. I mean, granted, I mean, if I had my choice, CW or Netflix, clearly Netflix. But I'm just saying, if I had my choice, CW or Nickelodeon, give me CW. Zachary, what's up, Zachary? Appreciate you coming through. He says, I have zero faith in the new Power Rangers will be good. I hated both of Jonathan Entwistle's other Netflix series. If the Power Rangers are anything like that show, RIP, my favorite show. Well, maybe to give you some hope, Zachary. While Jonathan Entwistle is at least show running the show, he's actually not the writer of the show. They actually do have Brian Edward Hill, I believe. Last time I knew, or last information we wind up getting. So maybe a combination of those two will give us something significantly different. Sorry that you weren't a fan of Jonathan Entwistle's previous stuff. I could definitely understand that. Some stuff was hit and miss for me also. But I would definitely say he's at least got somebody helping him along when it comes to the writing and creating this world. Somebody that is very much in tune with the comic book world and comic book television series. So maybe the combination of these two powers combined will give us something significantly different than what we've seen from Jonathan Entwistle. So we'll see. Speaking of Jinsaku, what's up, Jinsaku? Appreciate you certainly coming through, man. Good to see you in here. I was wondering if you were gonna hop in today since we were talking about you and your tweets that you put out, man. You're like one of the few lifelines we have to Power Rangers rumors and news right now for the movies. What's up, Elliot? Appreciate you certainly coming through. Elliot says hello, everybody. Let's see here. Jinsaku says I'm 100% positive. There was going they was gonna go with Zoology because they wanted to delay the movie, but now with it being on Netflix and not in theaters, they can speed things up. And that's kind of what we were just talking about. Is like with with everything that we've kind of seen and is being confirmed right now between you and the Illuminati, it does make me wonder: do we even need a season of Zoology to kind of be a buffer in between, or maybe things are actually moving along a lot more smoothly now? Also, fun fact: the big delay was Jonathan Entwistle wanted a more mature reboot, and Hasbro wanted to keep it kid friendly, so it was bumping heads a lot. So Entwistle started other projects. Oh, interesting, interesting. Emmanuel, what's up, Emmanuel? Good to see you in here. He says, I would love for Power Rangers to be on the CW. Now we got the CW Power Ranger talk happening. Yeah, he says Willow being one of them. Yeah, I remember he was set to go ahead and work on it, and then he backed out. But it worked out with him, and they saved kid friendly stuff for other projects, maybe animation. And Jonathan left Willow to come back to the reboot, so he's all in now. Yeah, we were kind of questioning the idea of him jumping onto Willow and then him coming back out. So yeah, well, thanks for the heads up, man. Appreciate the heads up. And Marcelino says, "Will I still answer last week's live viewer questions?" Yes, I certainly will. All right, guys. So yeah, I just definitely want to go ahead and tackle a lot of your comments, since that was one of the bigger questions that we certainly one of the bigger topics that we certainly had in store for you guys. So listen, guys, I want to know your thoughts. Feel free to let your thoughts be known in the comment section box below after this video airs. But you hear some of the possible news and brand new rumors that are certainly out there. So thank you very much, Jinsaku, for giving us all those details, man. It really helps to be able to talk to you about a lot of this stuff. But what do you guys think? Does this give you some promise in regards to what the Power Ranger future is certainly going to be like on Netflix? It certainly does give me hope for sure, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jonathan Entwistle certainly has in store. So thank you very much, Jinsaku. Appreciate that. And the Luminati for reporting on it. All right, guys, with that out of the way, we will go ahead and dive into our next topic. We may breeze through this here just briefly, but it is award season right now when it comes to certain television shows, and Power Rangers itself has officially been nominated. I personally have never really heard about the GLAAD Awards until maybe past year or so. I feel like this is something that's brand new to me in regards to being introduced to awards. For those of you who don't know what the GLAAD Media Awards are, it says the GLAAD Media Awards honor media for fair, accurate, and inclusive representations of the LGBTQ people and issues. It says since its inception back in 1990, the GLAAD Media Awards have grown to be the most visible annual LGBTQ award show in the world, sending powerful messages of acceptance to audiences globally. And so the 33rd annual GLAAD Media Awards is certainly here. And Dino Fury has officially been nominated, believe it or not, guys. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. This comes to us from Toku Nation. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Yeah, it says Dino Fury nominated for a GLAAD Media Award. It says Power Rangers Dino Fury brings back a historical first um, to the Power Ranger franchise. The Dino Fury series has been nominated for a GLAAD Media Award. It says a celebration of representation and inclusion in media for LGBTQ persons or issues in the category of outstanding kids and family programming. This GLAAD nomination for the chapter of Izzy Garcia, the first confirmed LGBTQ plus character in Power Rangers, hopefully represents the beginning of more open and inclusive Ranger era. Congratulations to actress Tessa Rao and the entire Dino Fury team. Again, this is under the category of outstanding kids and family programming. Other nominations, let's see here. Some other nominations: Amphibia from the Disney Channel, Centaura World from Netflix, Claudia and the Sad Goodbye, The Babysitter's Club on Netflix, Diary of a Future President on Disney Plus, Doogie Kamiloha on Disney Plus, High School Musical, the series on Disney Plus, The Loud House on Nickelodeon, Manly Men, Danger Force on Nickelodeon, and The Owl House on Disney Channel. Power Rangers Dino Fury is notable for featuring the first LGBTQ Power Ranger that appeared on the TV with Izzy, as revealed in the show's 13th episode. So, yeah, they're definitely getting recognition for the LGBTQ representation from episode 13, which I think is pretty awesome. Whether or not it's going to win the award, we'll definitely have to see. It looks like they've got some pretty stiff competition. For me, if anything, and I'm not trying to get controversial here, but there are a lot of people, look, you got your own political and religious beliefs. That's certainly fine. But there some of the pushback that I remembered seeing during this was the idea of how can you represent that type of stuff on a kid's show. That some people believe the idea of showcasing that to kids at such a young age, isn't necessarily the right thing to do. The only thing I will say to that is the fact that there's literally an entire category for specifically kids and family programming, I think certainly says something. I know some people feel some type of way about it, but I think it's just a showcase of how much times truly are changing. And it is one of those things too when it comes to episode 13. I really appreciated the way in which it was handled. It's not like they had some raunchy sex scene between two females. It was not like they necessarily were tonguing each other down or anything, right? It's not like they necessarily were kissing on each other or anything like that. It literally was very much sort of well intentioned, handled with kid gloves. The idea that we just simply see them holding hands and things like that, giving each other looks because there is sort of an attraction between each other, sort of thing. I really appreciate it. Like, it was one of those things, like, if you are going to sort of tackle that issue on Power Rangers and present it to the bigger audience, I honestly felt like they handled it as maturely and as appropriately as they possibly could. So I thought it was very tasteful in that sense. So I really do appreciate Dino Fury and how they managed to pull that off for episode 13. And for me, again, while I don't necessarily watch all these other shows, because all these other shows that I mentioned are also nominated under that category for kids and family programming, I will say, if anything, while I don't watch those shows, I'm hoping that Dino Fury wins simply because of the fact that this is a first for the series itself. You know what I mean? The fact that this is never happened before, I think that says something and speaks kind of volumes in regards to a new franchise kind of embarking on that path of furthering the idea of inclusion and diversity, right? Like Power Rangers from the get-go back in the 90s has always pushed in inclusion and diversity, and this is just simply an expansion of it. Nothing more than that. So congrats to Power Rangers Dino Fury for at least becoming nominated for the GLAAD Media Award. Not quite sure exactly when the award ceremony itself is actually going to be, or when the winners are announced, but if anything, if they win, I'll definitely let you know, or at least we'll probably post it over on YouTube, not YouTube, over on our Twitter account whenever it's the winners are announced. Let's see here. Let's see if you guys are mentioning anything in regards to that. Cobra Edis says it's good that there's now LGBTQ representation. Frankie says GLAAD Media Award, good luck Dino Fury. Yeah, I'm kind of curious, like do they announce, like I'm curious how they announce it. Is it something that they have an award show? Like, is Tessa Rao going to be there to accept the award? Like, who accepts these type of awards? So I'm kind of curious. I have no idea how that works out, but should be interesting to say the least. Shout out to DHR2 for certainly coming through also. Thank you very much, man, for coming through. But yeah, guys, let me go ahead and let me know your thoughts. Are you familiar with the GLAAD Media Awards? And if you're not, are you as surprised as I am that one, not only that there's a kid and family programming, but literally all the other nominations? I had no idea that all these other kid and family friendly shows had some sort of LGBTQ sort of representation in it. I'm really fascinated by that. But let me know your guys' thoughts in regards to that. And then last but not least, at least in regards to the Dino Fury cast and Power Ranger news, let's get into some controversy, shall we? As Chance Perez this week got blasted on Twitter. It was probably a really brutal 24 hours for this man, to be perfectly honest with you guys. So, for those of you who are not familiar with what happened with Chance Perez this past week, he went ahead and made a Twitter post, which has now officially been taken down. I believe he deleted it. But it was a video of him highlighting the idea that he's been getting into a new hobby and a new trend that's out there, and that is in regards to NFTs. He had been doing some collecting. I'm not quite sure if these were like card game items, pictures, or whatever the case may be, that he was like digitally downloading and becoming like an owner of sort of this content or whatever the case may be. But he went on Twitter, did a short little video, probably promoting the company that gave him these NFTs or offered them to him, sort of thing. Clearly, it was something that Chance Perez has been involved in before, or maybe he's now just dabbling in. But the NFTs were promising enough for him to want to purchase and want to promote and kind of talk about it on his Twitter sphere. And so he did. I can't remember how long the video was, maybe about a brief minute or so. He was kind of talking about what he purchased, how cool he thought the artwork and stuff like that certainly was. And he got roasted. Some people with sly little comments back and forth, like, ugh, gross. Talking shit about this man, quote, retweeting him and just bashing this dude in regards to his decision to go ahead and dive into NFTs. To be fair to Chance, he did get this pushback, and Chance did come out and wrote also that he had done his research, that he had um, did his research in regards to this, and was talking about, oh, it's pretty crazy some of the things that NFTs can do, yada yada yada. So he did mention the idea, at least in passing, to one of the replies, that he had apparently done his research. Well, apparently that's not fully the case, because as of like 2 days ago, I believe, or as of yesterday, I believe Chance Perez not only deleted his post, but he also went ahead and put out an apology. I just want to, before we get into his apology, though, you know, uh, I just want to make this clear, okay? I'm not a supporter of NFTs. I've never purchased an NFT. I really have no intention of purchasing NFTs. I really don't get the appeal to NFTs, but that's just me, I feel like there are a lot of people out there that don't understand NFTs but still get involved with it sort of anyway. Like, literally, I just opened up my Instagram and saw Zachary Levi post something in regards to it. Let me see if I can find Zachary Levi's post again, because it seems as though like even Zachary was trying to figure out what the is going on here, sort of thing. So let me go ahead and pull this up. And he says, I will pay someone top dollar if they can actually explain NFTs to me and why they are actually so valuable. Because up to this point, I get a bunch of folks selling me for about 30 minutes until they themselves say, I don't fully understand it all. There's still so much we don't know. And then he even says, I understand that blockchain allows for more anonymous, safer monetary transactions, and that digital art pieces can now have each consecutive sale tracked so that the artist can be paid a percentage of each sale. But other than that, I cannot find any other valuable utility that they serve that existing tech doesn't already allow for. It all just feels like flexing to me. So how does that hold or accrue actual value? Remember when the world lost its collective mind for Beanie Babies? That's what this feels like, just far less cuddly. Help me understand. Make it make sense, is what Zachary Levi wind up saying. And that's the same thing here for me. It's like, for me, it doesn't make any sense. Like, the idea of NFTs in a sense of like, you purchase this exclusive sort of content and then it's digitally yours. It's not even something that you can physically sort of put your hands on and have ownership of. In some senses, I get why maybe starving artists maybe do it, in the sense of like, art is never necessarily a money making field to begin with, right? Like, if you're an art major, I'm pretty sure you've all experienced the struggle of being an art major, right? So there are maybe ideas and concepts that maybe artists that are up and coming, maybe something like NFTs are super appealing for them because it does allow them to kind of make money off of their stuff. But trust me when I say, I'm sure there are plenty of pyramid schemes out there. It's clearly a very big environmental sort of impact, if you will, all negative, unfortunately. But there's still a lot of, listen, there's still a lot that people don't know or understand fully about NFTs, and yet they certainly still get involved in them. And Chance Perez this past week wind up trying to get involved with them. And again, just got bashed by a bunch of people, just side-eyed remarks, some people unfollowing him, some people blocking him, some people just talking shit about the man. And, listen, while I'm not a big supporter of NFTs, and I really don't, I get the pushback that certainly some people should have, but I guess my approach to how it should be addressed is just vastly different from a lot of other people. This is what I wind up posting in response to everything that I was seeing happening to Chance Perez. I says, is this beat up on Chance Perez day? Nah, I'm out. I'm not a supporter of NFTs, but I'm not going to shit on the man because we don't see or view things the same, in a sense of seeing eye to eye. That's just childish to me. Instead of belittling him, why not educate or actually do something for the environment yourself? I'm gonna be honest, guys. Sometimes when it comes to this NFT stuff, I think the idea of us not knowing too much about it, maybe just knowing more of the negative aspects of things, I do think that um sometimes I think that there's a lot of fake outrage out there. Sometimes I think that there are a lot of clout chasers, people that just want to shit on somebody to shit on someone, when at the end of the day they don't necessarily look themselves in the mirror and ask, what am I doing to make the situation any better? And I think for me, I think that's probably what gets under my skin more than anything, is that probably 80% of the people that want to shit on somebody for getting involved with NFTs don't do anything for the environment themselves. I'm not a big, um, I'm not a big guy when it comes to scripture or anything like that. Um, But there is a scripture line out there from Matthew 7:3 that says, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own? It's a bit hypocritical to me at times, are all these people environmental activists, right? Chance Perez made a mistake. He got involved in something that he eventually later admitted, hey, I didn't know too much about, thank you guys for, letting me know, sort of thing. But I feel like half these other people out there don't do anything for the environment themselves. They just want to push back on people that they specifically know aren't doing anything. And my thing would be, I rather us educate them instead of making them feel less of a person, when I'm sure 80% of these people don't have solar energy in their house, still drive around in their non-electric vehicles, putting emissions into the air. I'm sure 80% of these people don't take public transportation in an attempt to not drive their own vehicle. I'm sure 80% of these people aren't out there on the sidewalk or on the side of the freeway cleaning up litter, cleaning up trash. I don't see any of these people out here probably planting trees or anything like that, right? Anything that you could be doing to help in the environment. I'm sure 80% of these people aren't doing their due justice either. And so for me, I just hate the hypocrisy of it all. If you're against somebody that you don't necessarily want to do NFTs, just advise them of like, this is why NFTs are looked upon. But to be like, oh, you are my favorite person. Now I can't stand you and I'm gonna unfollow you. Like that's just a little bit too much to me. Because honestly, listen, at the end of the day, guys, when it comes to NFTs, whether you like it or not, and I don't mean this in the sense of we should all give up and fighting back against NFTs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying NFTs is truly becoming a new niche in the market where a lot of these companies are finding a new way to certainly go ahead and make money for themselves. In the capitalistic world that we live in, there's always going to be companies that find something new, a new medium to make new content in order to get more money. And unfortunately for us, NFTs is that new sort of biggest thing, that new biggest trend that's out there. And listen, Hasbro's already dabbled into this. Chance Perez has already dabbled into this. I'm sure there are plenty people that you support celebrity wise that are into NFTs that probably just don't tell you about it, that are probably into it on their own and don't necessarily talk about it just based off of the backlash that a lot of them are certainly going to get. My question is going to be, when you start realizing that 50, 60, maybe 70% of the companies that you support are all doing NFTs, are we all going to just stop following everything that we enjoy? Or are we going to wrap our heads around the idea that, listen, this may be something that I am not privy with. I certainly don't want to support it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I got to stop, like just completely drop everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, these people are human beings like us. I know that we tend to put them on pedestals and look at them differently because of the fact that we appreciate their characters and they're big actors and things like that. But make no mistake, at the end of the day, underneath all of that, they're still humans. They're still going to do things that you, me, some other people that we know want to do. So, one, I don't think we should necessarily hold these people to such high standards so that whenever they do make a mistake or they go down a path that we don't necessarily agree with, it automatically means shitting on this person. If you feel some type of way about how people handle NFTs, go do something that you want to do for the environment to help make it a better place, or maybe offset what some of these celebrities are definitely doing. Or if you are going to reach out to them and you feel some type of way, use it as a platform to educate them instead of talking down to them, because that's what I saw a lot of this week, was a lot of people talking down to Chance Perez, and it felt some type of way to me when it was brought up. And so he also came out and he did go ahead and do an apology. So let me go ahead and pull this up here for you guys so you can see the apology from Chance Perez himself. He says, "Hey, everyone, I've read a lot of messages and I'm very sorry I've upset so many people. Honestly, I had no idea there was an environmental downside and wish I had known more before my prior post. I'm so sorry to whom I've offended and hope you can accept my sincerest apologies." Very professional of Chance Perez. But if you ask me personally, I don't think he owed anybody an apology. I don't think Chance Perez owed anybody an apology. I truly don't. You John Blaze Knight says, wasn't expecting your consideration to be this quickly. I knew you were just unaware of what you decided to do. You're a great person, and those scams don't deserve people like you. You took the time to learn more. You're apologizing for your mistake. That's the least the show signs of your willingness and learn. And I commend you, Chance. Somebody's like, take down that other post if you're actually sorry, which he eventually did. You did nothing wrong. You might as well cancel every YouTuber ever promoted. Thanks for the apology. Thank you for listening to your fans. We appreciate it. I'm glad that you listen to people. No worries. It's the no worries stuff that really gets me. No worries. It's all right. Like talking to him like he's their best friend or something. You offended me, but no worries. We're good, man. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm an asshole, but like I just don't think Chance Perez needed to apologize to anybody. I just truly don't. And again, I'm not a supporter of NFTs, but you're your own man, man. I get the idea of coming out. It's probably was the right thing to certainly do, but I don't think he owed anybody an apology. But he certainly gave people one. So I'm sure he's gonna win his fans back. I'm sure some of these entitled people that wanted to block we're now unfollowing him, once again, and gonna go ahead and continue to support the man and whatever he does. But no, I don't think Chance needed to apologize. And if anything, I think some of the fans should probably apologize to him in the way that they actually reacted towards him, sort of thing. And for me, I think I'm just personally over the NFTs things. Like it's become the new cancel war sort of thing to do when it comes to NFTs. Again, my biggest thing is if you are against NFTs, if somebody that you support start supporting NFTs and it makes you feel some type of way, don't backhand slap them. If anything, do your best to certainly educate them in regards to why you feel some type of way. And if you do feel some type of way, to actually reach out to somebody and blast them because of what they're doing with NFTs. Before you hit that send button, I would just ask you the question, what are you doing for the environment? What are you doing actively to help the environment? Or are you just a keyboard warrior that just wants to shit on other people because they don't agree or have the same sort of mentality that you certainly have? For me, I'm gonna be honest. When it comes to NFTs, listen, some of the research that I had to do because of the fact that we talked about this months ago, right? Um, Hasbro, with their Zord Ascension project, they decided to get into NFTs also. The NFT blockchain that they went down was the Wax blockchain. Now, Wax, according to them, is like 100% carbon neutral. Um, that it's a lot more environmentally friendly than, say, Bitcoin or like other blockchains, right? That push a ton of emissions into the air and really destroy the environment. Now, whether or not you want to believe Wax in regards to their environmentally friendly blockchains, I would just recommend you do your own research in regards to that and whether or not you believe it or not. When it comes to Wax, though, at least with Hasbro wind up doing was you would purchase it digitally and you would get a digital coin. But with Wax, it gives you the opportunity to redeem that digital coin for an actual physical item, which is how you were able to get the gold and black Dino Megazord for the Zap project that they certainly had. So I wonder with Wax if it's a case of, while we do hold your transaction digitally for a while, the idea of exchanging it for something physical then removes sort of that digital fingerprint, if that makes sense, right? So you're not pushing these emissions out there. So Hasbro wind up going the more environmental route. While there are plenty of people out there that still do normal NFTs, which are extremely harmful, if you will. For me, it's one of these, it's just the ideology of no longer compromising, it feels like, right? Because for me, when I step back and I look at just the people that are arguing this thing. You've got people on one side that love NFTs, that want NFTs to stick around. Then on the opposite side, you've got people that just absolutely don't want NFTs whatsoever. Right? It's all or nothing when it comes to that particular group. There's no harming the environment at all. Right? It's really on both ends. For me, when I look at what Hasbro did with Wax, it feels very much like a compromising, right? People that want to keep NFTs and people that want to save the environment linking up and coming to a compromise and say, well, what if we have NFTs, but we make it a little bit more environmentally friendly and we kind of offset what we're putting out there, sort of thing. Again, whether or not that's what they truly do, I haven't read the numbers. I haven't read statistics. I don't know the difference except of taking their word for it when they say that they're environmentally friendly. So for me, I do think that there's something important in understanding that it's okay to compromise. It's okay to find sort of a middle ground with people because maybe finding that middle ground will then push these companies to start thinking to themselves, well, we have this environmentally friendly one. How can we make it even more environmentally friendly and sort of keep pushing that envelope? But this pushback of I want it and I don't want it, and there be no in between. I feel I feel like that the wax blockchain is the compromise. And I feel like these days compromise has become such a dirty word. Whereas the sense of like somebody, again, I'm not a supporter of NFTs, but if wax chain is truly an environmentally more friendly blockchain, when it comes to Chance Perez, I would have been like, hey, maybe you shouldn't support that blockchain, but maybe you should do some research in regards to more environmentally friendly blockchains. You know what I mean? So know that you're at least doing somewhat of your part to help the environment out. Again, don't at me. I'm not a supporter of NFTs. I'm just being open and honest with what is out there with people. And you guys can certainly make your own decisions based off of it. But I do think that there's something important in educating and compromising so that we can get some things changed. And then if we see people doing more compromising on that particular environmental aspect, maybe there will then be even a bigger push to maybe try and still keep NFTs around, but in a much more safer way for the environment. But again, maybe that's just me and my particular mindset. So I don't think there's anything wrong with the word compromise. I don't think it's a dirty word. I think we should educate and not necessarily shit on people that don't necessarily agree with us and immediately try and cancel everybody because they have a completely different point of view in regards to things like that. So, and again, my thing would just be look at yourself in the mirror before you hit that send button. What are you actively doing to help the environment or at least bring awareness without tearing somebody down, sort of thing? So, listen, Chance Perez will certainly survive from this, I'm sure. Who certainly knows? It just made me laugh of some of the people that were just giving him the backhand because it was just like, look, the moment Hasbro reaches out to you and asks, hey, do you want an interview with the Dino Fury cast? You're going to be sucking Hasbro's dick to get that interview. Chance Perez is there. Let's interview him, right? Like, it's just fake outrage half the time. Half these people aren't doing anything themselves. They just want to shit on something or somebody that doesn't see the same way. And to me, that's just childish, guys. So I think there's just a lot better ways that we can certainly handle things, not see eye to eye, but still be friendly and open and talking to each other. Because at the end of the day, Chance Perez is just a normal ass dude, a normal ass dude. So let's just treat each other with respect in the same way that we would certainly be treated. And if you would want somebody to educate you or tell you otherwise, then handle it that way. But I just think there's a lot better ways to handle it than I think a lot of people certainly have. So yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest. Jen Saku says the biggest cancel and uncancel I've ever seen in 24 hours. And listen, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Look, there's nowhere in here. Chance Perez says, I read a lot of your messages, and I'm very sorry. I've upset so many people. I honestly had no idea there was an environmental downside, and I wish I had known prior to my previous post. I'm sorry to whom I offended and hope you accept my sincerest apologies. Nowhere in there does it say that Chance Perez is gonna stop doing what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't got to tell you nothing. He don't got to tell you anything. Yeah, I said an apology. You know what I mean? I comforted my fans. I didn't see him saying there, you know what, guys, I'm not going to purchase those NFTs anymore. In fact, I'm not going to purchase NFTs at all. Like, I don't hear any of that in his message whatsoever. So, yeah, I mean, he might send an apology, but for me personally, I still think the man is doing what he's doing. That's just me, though. That's just me, though. Jinsaku says, definitely love the example you made on my post about people canceling NFTs, but ignoring the problems with racist and common writer revice. Yeah, it's the same thing. Listen, Jinsaku. I brought up that comment before in the past, and I got shit on by a couple of people who thought my take on that was a pretty shitty one, and immediately after telling me that my take was shitty, people were saying, oh, well, that's only one person on the Revice set that did the blackface sort of thing. And literally, like a week after they sent that to me, that's when all the like sexual allegations on the set of Revice sort of came out. And I was like, look, apparently it's not just one person, right? Apparently it's not just one person on the set of Revice that's certainly causing problems, that there's certainly a lot more going on behind the scenes than they certainly want to admit. But my point was just the idea that it's just interesting to me, the energy that people put towards certain things. The idea of, let me see if I can find my post that I wrote, Jinsaku. Um, I can't even find it anymore. I guess for me, it was just a case of, it is just interesting to me to see where people kind of put their energy at. The idea of really canceling people and hating on people for the NFT stuff, but the moment that it has anything to do with somebody being racist or doing something against another culture, all of a sudden we've got blinders on, and it's kind of acceptable, right? Like, we can fight for the environment, but the idea of fighting and pushing back against somebody that has clearly done racial antics in his life, or even other people doing sexual allegations on the set. We still want to watch it, right? We still want to watch the show. We still want to review the show. We still want to post pictures, and we want to, give Revice a voice on Twitter, sort of thing, right? I don't see nobody canceling any of that shit. Yet they just sit back and accept it. But yet Chance Perez does NFTs, and it's the end of the fucking world. Like, it's just ridiculous to me, and it just shows you what people are willing to fight for and what people are willing to unfortunately ignore. Man, it's a shame. It's a shame. What's up? What's up? Good to see you, Mickey. Thank you very much for certainly coming through. How you been, Mikey? You doing all right, man? Hope you're hanging in there. Christopher Throbbin says, yeah, NFTs are trash and cringe, but I'm not coming at anybody. And that's the problem, is that people just coming and attacking people, man. Jin, Sa- Jin Saka says, I be out here using paper straws. Shout out to the turtles. Yeah, man. At least you're doing something, Jinsaku. Gamer Force says, Chance already says sorry about his NFT already. Yeah, he definitely apologized. Definitely apologized for sure. Admitting that he didn't necessarily do all his research. And again, we're not crapping on Chance. If anything, I definitely agree with you, Mikey. I don't think he necessarily needed um, to apologize whatsoever. Let me see. I'm trying to find what I posted, Jinsaku. I had a bunch of notifications. Oh, yeah, it says, I said I brought this up before about Revice. It's funny the amount of energy people put towards certain issues. Didn't know everyone was such an environment warrior, yet turn a blind eye to all the BS that's happening on the set of Common Rider. Just interesting to see the mindset of some. And you said facts, their favorite writer do blackface. And some people just want to use the argument of, oh, well, he's just the voice. He's not really there. It don't matter, man. It don't matter. It's the idea of promoting the idea that it's acceptable and it's okay. DHR2, he says, honestly, if I would start an NFT, would just sell my comic drawings on there instead of just doing NFT style type of art. And I'm sure there probably are other ways that they can definitely, I'm sure there are definitely other ways that they can do the same thing without necessarily using NFTs. You know what I mean? But it was just a drama fest this week, guys. But yeah, so again, I'm over it. The NFT stuff, I'm over it. Anytime that I see somebody that's got NFTs or jumping into NFTs, at this point, I just particularly ignore it myself because I just know under that announcement is going to be a bunch of pushback and people that probably don't fully understand NFTs themselves pushing back, and just a lot of fake keyboard environment warriors out there that unfortunately aren't doing anything themselves to make the situation any better. So yeah, before you hit send, just ask yourself, what are you doing also before you start judging somebody for some of their actions. All right, guys. All right. With that out of the way, we do have two more topics that we're going to be breaking down before we get into your guys' live viewer questions. So let's go ahead and take a turn into some tokusatsu news, ladies and gentlemen. As Ultraman Trigger has officially wrapped, we had the 25th episode this past week. Really enjoyable season for me. It's one that I certainly did enjoy. Definitely have my quirks and issues with it. I do feel like while I certainly enjoyed the finale and how the series certainly wraps up, there are aspects and elements I probably could have seen executed a little bit better, maybe drawn out a little bit more over the last several couple of episodes, but still enjoyable and still hit a very emotional note for me, and one that I definitely would recommend. If anything, when it comes to Trigger, they probably had a little bit more crossover episodes than I probably would have appreciated. Some of those crossover episodes at least playing into the bigger picture of this series, which I appreciate. But for 25 episodes, I do think that they probably could have focused sometimes a little bit more, and maybe not have so many hiatuses also in between, like taking a week or two off here or there, sort of thing. But overall, I was really impressed from my very first Ultraman series to actually watch in full as a franchise. It really floored me. I enjoyed a lot of the characters. The main characters hit. A lot of the supporting characters I was a big fan of. I love the sci-fi elements. I love the drama elements that certainly came with it. The action was rather incredible. The attention to detail in regards to a lot of the big sort of tokusatsu battles in the town were unlike anything that I had ever seen. Special effects were really on point too as well. There's a lot of great things going for Ultraman Trigger, with just maybe a few hiccups here or there for myself. So I would recommend that you guys check it out. So while Ultraman Trigger has officially wrapped, there is still more Ultraman Trigger to certainly come. Apparently, they're going to be having themselves a brand new movie in the form of Episode Z, ladies and gentlemen. So it says, today we have some brand new images that were officially released. This comes to us from jefusion.com. It says, to further hype the upcoming release of Ultraman Trigger, New Generation Tiga Episode Z movie, Super Riot Productions has posted a bunch of brand new shots straight from the film, featuring more of Evil Trigger. So let's go ahead and showcase some of these to you. I believe the gentleman on the left of the screen here, I believe that is Ultraman Z from the previous season. He also had two episodes in Trigger that were crossover event wise. The Ultraman to the right of the picture is Ultraman Dark. It's like the dark persona of Ultraman Trigger before Trigger was introduced to the light. So they are two different embodiments now. So you got Ultraman Trigger in the middle, who's the giant of light, and you got Trigger Dark, who's the giant of darkness. It looks like this is Ultraman uh evil Trigger, is his name here. Looks like he's choking the hell out of good Trigger, I guess we should call it. I kind of dig the costume design for Evil Trigger. There are kind of even some elements of um in the last episode of Trigger, the light and the darkness combine to kind of give us a new form of Ultraman Trigger, and this Evil Trigger design almost reminds me of it. It definitely has its own unique flair to it for sure. But I'm kind of looking forward to it. Loving this shot here, just getting to really see like the silhouette and the outline of the Ultraman here with the light in the background. It looks as though we've got ourselves it looks like that's Ultraman Z. I could be wrong, but it looks like they might be both in their power type formations here, to maybe battle against some of these creatures. Is that Ultraman Z using a power line? Like, is he trying to wrap this monster up? That's pretty legit. Looks like we got Ultraman Z facing off against Trigger in here also. Looks like he might be under the influence with those red eyes. And it looks like Z also in here battling one of the bigger monsters in a night fight. I'm always a sucker for nighttime fights or even like sunset battles, honestly. They look great. But yeah, these are some of the brand new images that Subaraya has released. It also says that Episode Z, the movie, is set to premiere March 22nd. So March 22nd is when we're going to be getting the brand new movie. And if anything, once the movie is made available to the public, with fan subs, or I should say, yeah, with fan subs, then we'll probably go ahead and review it and add it to our Ultraman Trigger playlist for you guys. So if you haven't been following Ultraman Trigger, look, I would definitely recommend it. I would definitely, like, if you've never really dabbled in an Ultraman franchise, I think this is a great one. And then if you want to follow along with us with our reviews as a first time viewer, also, you can definitely join us in experiencing Ultraman Trigger for the very first time. So definitely go ahead and check it out. Also, other content that I'm waiting on, I believe the fan sub site that I go to just released the um the the third and final episode of the Real Soldier Legacy of the Master Soul. I want to say they probably released it like 2 weeks ago. Haven't had the opportunity to watch that episode yet, but once I do, I will go ahead and have a review up for you guys as well. We do have the first 2 episode reviews up on our YouTube page for you guys. Again, that's the Legacy of the Master Soul. You can find it on our channel if you want to go ahead and check out our reviews for the first 2 episodes. And then last but not least, guys, continuing in the realm of tokusatsu news, we've got some more Donbrothers, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. I believe we got a new photo too. Let me see if did I save that photo though? Let me see. I have my Donbrothers. This was the newest photo that I believe and that you see here on JE Fusion. But the team looks great. This is probably the best that I've seen the CGI characters look in regards to them being side by side with the physical actors themselves. The other photo that they went ahead and posted, do I have that one? Let me see. I don't know if I have that one or not. Oh, I do. Where'd it go? Then again, this photo is kind of low quality that we see here, but this was the first one of the team, and it was kind of cringe-worthy in regards to the CG characters. But when you look at this one, again, the quality is vastly different. It looks like it's the same location, just a different pose. Them maybe not being so close to each other or overlapping each other might actually look a little bit better with their own individual stances. So they definitely look a lot better in this particular photo in regards to being in the real world. But we'll see how the CG actually looks itself. But we have more appearances and rumors. And even though this is being run, this article is being run by jefusion.com. The information that's in here came from none other than Dukemon22 over on Ranger Board, which I believe is the real Matt Hunt over on Twitter. So let's go ahead and break this down and see exactly what they're talking about here, because it seems as though we might be getting more Zenkaiger appearances than we previously thought. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Again, this is from jefusion.com. It says, still not satisfied about the Don Momotaro debut episode in Zenkaiger 42nd episode, then there are other rumors for the next upcoming episodes before the present series ends. It says Don Momotaro is rumored to become a regular on the last 4 episodes of Zenkaiger starting this February. So this weekend, I believe we have ourselves a brand new episode of Zenkaiger, if I'm not mistaken. So apparently, I believe we're only getting, according to the Real Matt Hunt, 49 episodes. So 46, 47, 48, 49. So that would mean episode 45, which I believe drops this weekend. And then after that, the last 4 episodes, according to the rumor, that Don Momotaro is going to become a regular in those last 4 episodes. It also says, following this weekend's episode of Zenkaiger, an announcement will be made via the press conference that is rumored to happen February 3rd, which would make sense because look, February 3rd is next Thursday, which is the press conference. So if anything, it would not surprise me if not only do we get ourselves a trailer, but they also give us the announcement like, hey, and you can expect Don Momotaro to start making his presence felt this weekend, beginning this weekend, because that would be episode 46, 47, 48, and 49. So the last 4 episodes. So it wouldn't surprise me if they would promote Don Momotaro on the 3rd of February for the upcoming last 4 episodes. It says the series is almost to its end, so let's all wait for the surprises in the show and what the show has in store for all the fans. So I think this is interesting. Look, when it comes to Zenkaiger, I personally am ready for this series to end, guys. We've just had a very love-hate relationship. I say that every week whenever I review it or even talk about it. So it has certainly had its ups and downs for me. And I'm just as excited as the next person to get into the next Super Sentai series. But it seems as though there's definitely going to be a lot of interlinking and interchanging between the two. Clearly Donbrothers is going to be like Zenkaiger 2.0, or at least a leaping off point, but still having some connective tissues to it. We've already seen Don Momotaro in Zenkaiger. It seems as though he's going to be playing a significant role in here. We've been seeing the character in Gigi having a bigger role when it comes to the Toji Tendo and having his own schemes that he's now officially pulling the trigger on. There's rumors that Gigi is going to be in the upcoming Donbrothers series as well. So there are a lot of connective pieces that we've seen introduced already that will certainly carry over when we do get to Donbrothers. But we have new showrunners and new directors and stuff certainly coming on board. So it should have a completely different tone and vibe to it, even though there are some aesthetics and characters that certainly might be returning. But I think this is great. This isn't the first time that Super Sentai has done this. I believe they said they did this from Digiman into Sun Vulcan, where they had one series sort of lead into the other. This kind of also reminds me of classic Saban era stuff, where we've had a season of Power Rangers leading into like a new team of Power Rangers, some of those characters being carried over, maybe some of the villains sort of thing. So this does give me vibes of that type of era of storytelling, and one that always really kind of worked for me. I really always appreciated the establishment of lore and having some connective pieces to certainly what came before. So if this is the route that they're wanting to go, I think it's a great one, honestly, one that I'm looking forward to. So I thought Don Momotaro's first appearance was pretty legit in his debut in episode, was it 43, if I'm not mistaken? And then I'm sure I'm going to be loving his appearance here also in the last 4 episodes. It wouldn't surprise me too if we finally get introduced to uh, uh, um, Kaido's mom once again. Maybe we bump into his father once again. Maybe there's some connective tissues between them and the Donbrothers, or maybe some of his the Donbrothers comrades that are going to be accompanying him, like the rest of his team members. Who certainly knows? But I do think that Zenkaiger will hopefully end on a very satisfying note, despite the idea of me just ready for this new season. So a lot to look forward to. The last 4 episodes of Zenkaiger, I'm really pumped and looking forward to. And then again, we've got that press conference on February 3rd. So definitely go ahead and look out for that. JB says, what says Pink looks better? Yeah, definitely looks better in this. Or it's a he actually. Pink is actually a guy. Oni's sister in yellow is the only female on this team, but Pink is definitely a guy. But yeah, I would agree with you. Looks better in this form for sure. Enrique, going back to the Ultraman trigger news, says is the new Ultraman Decker hero will make a cameo in the movie. I don't know. I would assume so, though. I think maybe somebody might have commented on one of my posts, or one of my Ultraman Trigger episode 25 review. I think somebody might have mentioned that Ultraman Decker might pop up in that movie. I could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. Blossom says, holy moly cannoli. I still can't believe the Don Brothers Sentai is about to start already. Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. We got just over a month left. Pretty crazy. Both pictures of the new Rangers still look good. Yeah, I love the look of the team. I'm really looking forward to this. Enrique says, is other members of the Don Brothers going to be in the upcoming episode of Zenkaiger, or maybe the finale as a cliffhanger? Maybe in the finale. Wouldn't be surprised if we see his bike again. The ride on. Yeah, I think it's called the and you're right on. And you're right on. And you're right. I can't remember how it was pronounced. I have to look up the name of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if his bike is there, just so that they can combine with Jern once again. The other team members that I don't know. Maybe in the cliffhanger though, Enrique. We'll see. We'll definitely see. But guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the idea of Don Momotaro returning? I was under the impression that he was just going to have that one-off appearance and we never see him again until his series. But it seems as though he may be more involved than we even personally thought. So let me go ahead and know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. Going back to the Chance Perez stuff, Mikey says the hypocrisy of this fandom is mind blowing. Yeah, honestly, there are some times, Mikey, where I do just kind of shake my head and just think to myself, like, man, why do I continue to indulge myself sometimes in these type of fandoms? I do think that sometimes these fandoms can be like their own worst enemy sometimes, unfortunately. I'd say just leave people alone, let them live their lives. You live yours. If you feel some type of way, educate instead of making people feel like shit for their decisions. We're all humans at the end of the day. We shouldn't be trying to make ourselves feel or look bigger than anybody else. But that's just me. All right, guys. I think with that out of the way, that wraps up all of our topics here today, guys. So thank you very much for certainly joining us. Always good to hear your discussions and your points of view in regards to all the news and articles that we have for you guys. But now let's transition into your guys' live viewer questions. Again, guys, if you haven't joined our Discord, please go ahead and do yourselves a favor and certainly join up. If you enjoy forum communities, that's exactly what a Discord certainly is. If anything, just allows us to communicate outside of our YouTube content, where we talk Power Rangers, we talk Super Sentai, we talk Marvel, DC, movies, television, sports, video games, just a plethora of topics in regards to geek and nerd pop culture that you guys can certainly enjoy with us. So there is a link in the description box below for you guys. Let's go ahead and get through some of these questions, man. I'll try and fly by some of these because we actually do have a ton from last week that we missed out on. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Jessica Friedman, appreciate you coming through, Jessica. Hey, Adam, would you like the next season of Power Rangers to have another LGBT Ranger like Izzy from Dino Fury? Yeah, I would absolutely love it. For me, I would be perfectly okay if it became the norm. You know what I'm saying? Look, we have a white person every series. We got a black person every series. You know what I'm saying? I think we could have a LGBTQ representation in every series kind of going forward. Don't even have to be the five. Could be the villain. Could be the sixth ranger. You know what I'm saying? Could be a friend. Could be a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like, definitely a possibility. Whether they end up as rangers, who knows? But there's always room. There's always room. Marcelino says Marguerite Bennett was the writer for Beyond the Grid arc, which is still seen as the worst story arc in Power Rangers Boom Comics. That being said, however, could name some comics outside of Power Rangers that she wrote that are genuinely good and enjoyable to read. I asked this just to break up any negativity of people who still might think she's objectively a bad writer, because whenever someone writes something that is bad, people tend to jump to conclusions thinking that they always write bad content, and no matter what. You're absolutely right. I'm not too familiar with Marguerite Bennett work, but let's find out together. Let's see what else she might have worked on. Marguerite Bennett. Oh, she's cute too. Let's see here. What have you worked on? Works DC Comics. She's worked on Batwoman for a while. I think I recall her from Batwoman. She's worked on some Batgirl stuff. DC Comics Bombshells. So she's definitely worked with a lot of female characters before. For Marvel, she's Angela, the Asgard's assassin. That's cool. She actually has like a couple of things of Angela that she's actually worked with before. Angela actually originally is a Spawn character from Image Comics, and I can't remember what happened in regards to somehow Angela wind up actually getting thrusted into the MCU, and now she's actually a part of she's part of the Marvel universe. She actually even wrote A Force a little bit as well, which I was a big fan of A Force. Also, that's also a very all female crew as well. So when you look back, looking back at her work on Power Rangers during that time period and just some of the characters that she really had to handle, it would make sense. It would make sense as to some of the character development that she's done before in the past, sort of thing. So, yeah, if you want to check out some of her work, DC Comics Bombshells is great. Her work on Batwoman might be interesting for you guys to definitely check out. Also, she has written a Batman annual. Looks like Batman annual number 2. She also wrote a Lobo comic book. Also, Marvel Comics. She did write an episode or an issue of um of Nightcrawler, along with Death of Wolverine, the Logan Legacy number 4, and some other A Force and Angela work for Marvel also. So definitely check out some of her stuff if you're interested. But yeah, so I have personally haven't read all of it, but those are just some other works if you want to go ahead and give it to her. And for me, I will say this, just because somebody is a writer that maybe writes a, a series that you're not necessarily the biggest fan of, for me, it is one of those things where maybe sometimes it's the franchise that they're coming on board. Maybe it's the character. Maybe she's not super familiar with Power Rangers, right? So maybe the pacing or what she did with the storyline just wasn't necessarily to your favor, but maybe it works for other characters in regards to how she certainly story tells. You know what I mean? So if it didn't work for you for Power Rangers, that's certainly fine. Doesn't mean that they're a crap writer overall. Just also means that maybe they are better at writing other characters. You know what I'm saying? Other works. So I wouldn't just hearken on just the negativity that somebody would have towards a storyline that they didn't like. If anything, I've definitely have seen good and bad material from writers that I'm a big fan of. You know what I mean? So everybody certainly has their off days, but maybe there's something else that she's dabbled in that you guys might enjoy a little bit more. I would definitely advise checking those out before just thinking she's a absolutely terrible writer. You know what I mean? So thank you very much for that, Marcelino. Michael Rhymes, what's up, Michael Rhymes? He says, you know how Morphing Grid was pretty much the main plot of Beast Morphers? Do you feel like the writers depended too much on the grid that even the crossover with Jason felt like everything in the episode had to do with the grid, like not explaining why the grid only summoned Jason to Devon and Jason already knew of him, but not the reason he was brought to Grid Battle Force? And then can you say Dino Fury so far this first season has utilized the morphing grid really well, and along with morphing masters even helped correct past seasons, like Dino Gems from Dino Thunder and the Energems. Yeah, I think the introduction to the morphing masters and the morphing grid definitely helped. I definitely do think that Dino Fury has done a really good job of establishing some lore that really connects to previous seasons. And I think, if anything, maybe allowing us to view those seasons a little bit differently. I never really thought Beast Morphers overutilized the morphing grid. I just think when you look at what they were attempting to adapt in regards to Go Busters, it feels like a natural conclusion for me in regards to them dealing with the morphing grid, in regards to like Energon, the energy that they're acquiring and things like that. You got to get that tapping into something. And so the morphing grid felt like, if you're adapting Go Busters, it felt like the use of the morphing grid, if anything. And if anything, I would say I think Beast Morphers and Dino Fury have done the morphing grid justice in regards to allowing us to realize just how unpredictable the morphing grid is, how powerful it is, and just the idea that it could do some very unexplainable things. Like, anything is possible when it comes to the morphing grid. And for me, at least personally, I felt Beast Morphers and Dino Fury have both established that. But I would agree with you when you say the morphing grid and the morphing masters helped kind of elevate some of the past seasons for sure. Have you watched Dino Thunder, the episode Truth and Consequences? I'm sure I have, but it's been a minute. When Trent has finally revealed as the evil White Ranger to the main team, and when he got captured by Mesogog, did you ever expect that simple line? So, Anton Mercer's son, Trent, would foreshadow Mesogog ultimately being Anton Mercer. I probably didn't when I originally watched it. I probably didn't, but I think I probably had some idea that he was, but I don't know. It's been such a long time, Michael. It's been such a long time. What I think will happen in season 2 of Dino Fury, if a reincarnated Lord Zed does return. We see Zed attempt to corrupt Santora against Void Knight. Ooh, which Void Knight would have to deal with amongst other reveals. I feel will happen in season 2. It all a means to create a sympathy for Void Knight, which I think a sympathy route is probably a good one. I think the idea of the Power Rangers maybe eventually realizing what Void Knight was up to originally, I think they probably would have approached him significantly differently. So it wouldn't surprise me there. As it will turn out that Void Knight was actually corrupted by Santora. Ooh, interesting. Making her the actual main villain of the story. She has the power to attract other beings and use them for personal gain. It would be an eye-opening season full of twists and turns. I feel like they can give so much creatively that we have yet to see from Power Rangers. Could allow Void Knight to seek help from the Rangers. I really love that idea, Michael. I think that's a right on the bullseye in regards to like something creative, something different, twists, turns. I'm not going to say it's out of the realm of possibility at all, especially the way that our stars from Dino Fury have talked about, man, you guys aren't ready for season 2 with all the stuff that we have. So I think they might be going full out for it. So I'm looking forward to it. Ibase, what's up, Ibase? Thank you very much for coming through again. You say Forever Red as the finale. We know that Forever Red was and still the best anniversary team of Power Ranger history. Do you wish we at least had a Megazord battle with the old Megazords that still survived? I know we couldn't because it was the most expensive episode of Wild Force. So Wild Force Rider Cycle was used to defeat Serpentera instead. This is just me, but it would have been even better for the finale as a whole. Uh, uh, Oh, if the finale episode, if it was the finale episode of Wild Force as a whole. Oh, interesting. Okay. I'm okay without the Zords though. I thought it was great as it was. Some cuts and changes. Use the Rangers' final confrontation with Master Org from End of Rangers Part 2 as pre-titles. Cut the Rangers being forced to giving up their growl phones and jackets when saying goodbye to Shayla. Cut fight between the Cogs and the Rangers. I know it's a great scene, but it's so to quicken the pace. Added Cole playing with his dog and Elisa now as a teacher reading to the class from End of the Power Rangers Part 2. For an extra bit of fun, I have a little confession. This is actually the second take I've made for Power Rangers or for a Wild Force. For a Forever Red Wild Force finale. Cut this one put together back in 2020, as in previously on recap. Cole making peace with his parents and Dr. Adler, Master Org, as well as the full epilogue for each of the Rangers. Interesting. Thank you very much, Michael. I really appreciate your thoughts in regards to that, man. Matthew Rivera. What's up, Matthew Rivera? What did you think of the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers? A resounding meh. This really should have been a two-parter. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, or at least an hour long. I would have been okay with at least an hour long. They may could have built up Lord Draven to be a credible threat and given the episode more time to breathe. It goes by a mile a minute, and in the end, it didn't feel as epic as it should. Yeah, I for me it was a meh. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. I think the returning Rangers definitely helped put it on top for me as one that's enjoyable, even though I felt like there was a lot of potential missed in regards to it. And Lord Draven, personally, I immediately just looked at him as a bootleg Lord Draken. I felt like that 25th anniversary should have been Draken used more properly. So yeah. I wanted more interactions between all the Rangers. I agree with you. I think that's where it fell short. That's why I say missed opportunities. That's what I'm referring to. Build up Tommy Bot more. Have us actually see Kat, TJ, Gia, Rocky, Trent, and Antonio get kidnapped by the Tommy Bot, or at least give us more of their personality. Show us Rocky's bravery, Antonio's showmanship, Trent's artistry, Gia's badassitude, Gemma's excitement, and Boom Time, etc. Apart from Tommy, Kodo, Wes, and Gemma, the legendary Rangers were glorified cameos. Yeah, I really did appreciate Tommy, Kodo, Wes, and Gemma for sure. I thought they were handled well, but yeah, the other ones were just glorified cameos. This could have been so much more, and in the end, it just feels wasted and rushed. Not as bad as Legendary Battle, but it's incredibly lackluster. Here's hoping Hasbro can revitalize crossovers again in the future after Dino Fury. We'll see how that turns out. Maybe they're planning for a bigger crossover. Maybe not something that we get in the first couple of years, but maybe the idea of this interconnected world that they're building. Maybe we will get new crossovers and something like that. But I would agree with a lot of your comments there, Matthew, for sure. It definitely was. I enjoyed it, but it still was mad. They definitely have missed some opportunities for sure. Joey Thompson, which big bad from Super Sentai do you think was better or worse than its Power Ranger counterpart, or vice versa? This includes ones that were replaced by PR exclusives. Mesagog left Lothor and as two great big bads. Worse, Prince Vakar and from Super Mega Force. I get what you're saying. I really liked Go Busters villains more than I did their Super Sentai counterpart in Go Buster. I mean, in Beast Morphers. Like Enter and Escape, I thought were great foils over somebody like Venjix. I just thought they were handled better. Not taking anything away from Roxy, because I love me some Liana Ramirez as Roxy. But I do think Enter and Escape as a combination was handled better than Blaze and Roxy certainly were. I'm gonna wait on Dino Fury right now because I feel like I am enjoying how they've been using Void Knight more so than Guy Sorg right now from Real Soldier. And I kind of want to see how else he's utilized and what other characters like Precious and stuff certainly are. But right now they're on a good path. Power Rangers is on a good path for being better villains than I remember their Super Sentai counterpart to be. Which of the two seasons, Wild Force and Time Force, has made a huge impact on the franchise of Power Rangers? And which do you think felt the most mature and serious when it came down to storytelling and telling moral lessons of the day without being too kiddie or in your face? For a huge impact, I would say Time Force. As far as like which one had the most mature or serious when it came to storytelling, my mind also wants to go to Time Force, but I'm not going to sleep on Wild Force. I feel like Wild Force has some pretty good, mature and serious storytelling themes also. So, but yeah, Time Force also had, man, that's a tough one. I felt like they both did. So, as far as huge impact, I definitely will say Time Force did, but I'm not going to sleep on Wild Force when it comes to the storytelling there for sure. What did you think of the Dark Rangers back in MMPR? Do you think that they were menacing or embarrassing because of their costumes? Would you like to see them return in the future? In Dino Fury, considering the theories out there, I would. Yeah, I would like to see them return. Yeah, they were just more embarrassing to me, more like a laughing stock than actually something that left a good taste in my mouth. Like when I think of Dark Rangers, I think of the Psycho Rangers. I almost forget about the Dark Rangers as a whole just because of how embarrassing they looked, sort of thing. So I think there's a chance to revitalize it. Me and Stuart, when we talked about the finale of Dino Fury together, that was one of the things that we talked about. Like the return of Serpentaro would be cool. Even the return of the Dark Rangers, I think, in a new format and a new costume would go a long way also. Whether or not that happens, we'll see. Adam Perea, what's up, Adam? Appreciate you coming through with some questions. He says, we see Zed attempt to corrupt Santora against Void Knight, which Void Knight will have to deal with amongst other reveals I feel will happen in season 2. It all means it'll create sympathy for Void Knight. That's the same thing. Didn't I just read that? I'm so confused. I'm so confused right now. Which do you think is the most badass sixth ranger? Tommy, Eric, or Ryan? Tommy, Eric. For me right now, I'm probably gonna go Eric. I'll probably say Eric. Do you still like the actual team up battle in Dimensions in Dark? And are you glad when Gia came back, she morphed into the standard Megaforce Yellow instead of Gokaiger? We know how Super Megaforce went as the series. I actually wouldn't have minded Gia as a Gokaiger, as Yellow Gokaiger. If there is anybody that represents that pirate lifestyle more than anything, it's definitely her. Um, So yeah, it left an impression on me, but not like a super lasting impression. You know what I mean? Gabriel. Gabriel's got a couple questions. If Blake Foster were to ever return to Power Rangers as Justin as an adult, what do you think he has been up to since the finale of Power Rangers and his appearance on Power Rangers in Space? Would you like him to return, even though Blake himself has made some mistakes in the fandom? Speaking of Blake, he was one of the original members of Power Morphicon back in 2007, so he was very passionate about meeting the fans. I would be open to him making a return. I know some people probably might feel some type of way about him, but I would be okay with him making a return. For me, it would be pretty cool to kind of see what he's been up to. I can see Justin being involved in the world of MMA. You know, if we're gonna pick up what he's been up to, just based off of his knockout recently of, was it Mike? Yeah, maybe Justin has decided to get into the world of MMA, tattoos and all. Even though I'm sure they probably would cover up his tattoos on a kid show, but it would be pretty cool. But yeah, that would be my thing. A two-part question. You talked about this last week, but do you think that way Power Rangers to this? Hold on. You talked about this last week, but do you think that why Power Rangers to this day has not been taken seriously as a fandom is because of how it was handled in the past decade by Saban and Nickelodeon, basically keeping it from meeting its greater potential? Why some fans aren't excited or confident about Hasbro reimagining universe because they feel like it's just copying other fandoms by bringing back an old franchise to modern day. I do think that's why Power Rangers um, has not been taken seriously. Um, I do, and I don't necessarily know if I would say, we maybe might have been in a completely different place during the Disney era stuff, but I do think there was always an opportunity for Saban and Nickelodeon to do more by it. But I guess it just depends also on what their intentions were of it ever being. You know what I mean? Saban and Nickelodeon, I think, were just comfortable. We're just, not spending too much money, yet creating content and hopefully making more money back. And I think they were comfortable with that. But I think, after a while, things do get stagnant, unfortunately. And I understand the idea of wanting to push it forward and put it back into mainstream. The idea of some fans aren't excited or confident about the Hasbro Reimagine universe because they feel like it's just copying other fandoms by bringing back an old franchise to modern day. I honestly, I just feel like Power Rangers hasn't even hit its fullest potential. Granted, its fullest potential at this point to me was probably back in the 90s, in regards to just how big it became. But the idea of trying to recapture that again, I think is possible. You know, I wouldn't see it as Hasbro just copying what other people are doing so much as I would say just taking advantage of where we are in pop culture these days, where everything superhero genre related is hot right now. It's become like the new norm for our culture. And when you've got characters like Power Rangers that have been doing this for the past 28 years, 29 years, I think there's room for it to improve. And I think there's room for it to get back into the mindset of modern day culture, if you will. I know that trend of revamping and re energizing old franchises is a thing these days, but I don't know any other franchise that could really use that more than Power Rangers. So if anything, I would say get excited. Get excited. Now that season one of Dino Fury has ended for a while now, we are all eagerly awaiting the arrival of season two, when you watched episode 4 of Tessa Rao was officially introduced as the first live action female Green Ranger and she ripped her skirt off. Do you ever think that we would eventually see her become LGBTQ? I remember in your early videos of Dino casting, you were asked if female Rangers originally cast by Alexandra Nunez would be LGBTQ. Yeah, I didn't know. Um, I am kind of curious. Like, I don't know Tessa Rao's um sexual orientation, nor does it matter to me. Tessa could be and love whoever she wants to. I do wonder if she herself is lesbian or bisexual. It does make me wonder if maybe originally casting Alexandra Nunez, um, if maybe she was good for the role, but maybe their decision to make her LGBTQ, maybe that's just not what Alexandra Nunez represents. And so maybe they wanted to actually get somebody in that role that who was a great actor, but also represents that community too. I do wonder if that has anything to kind of do with it, or if it's just all comes down to acting. Um, whether or not when I watched episode 4, I think I probably had an idea. I feel like as much as we keep our ears to the ground in regards to rumors and speculations and theories, I don't necessarily know if it came as a surprise. I'm just trying to remember if when episode 4 dropped, if I knew that that was coming. Like for me, the idea of women not rocking skirts, I mean, look, it's all up to you, right? Like the idea of wearing a skirt shouldn't necessarily define you as a woman. You know what I mean? Like you should be able to just wear whatever you want to. Like there are people out there that are like freaking out over the idea, like Minnie Mouse is getting like a wardrobe change. Instead of wearing like the big flowy dresses that she used to, she's now wearing like a pantsuit. Like she's got like business attire on, right? Like an actual suit with her bow and stuff. There are people freaking out and stuff. And I'm just like, these are just, when I look at this stuff, these are just costume changes to me. Like I don't look at anything like, I know some people are like, oh, that's just like gender bending and stuff. Like, no, I just think some women don't want to wear skirts all the time. Like there are very powerful women out there that go to work every day and have a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 job that wear pantsuits, right? Like it's a power move. It's a I wear and like what I wear. I'm comfortable in whatever I personally want to wear. I don't necessarily need a piece of clothing to represent who it is that I am as a person. And so that's kind of how I view that moment for Izzy's character in episode 4, whether or not she rips off the skirt and I'm like, yeah, she's gay. I don't I don't know if my mind goes to that route, but it didn't surprise me that they certainly did go that route. But as far as what happened with Alexandra Nunez, that I don't know, unfortunately. Ionis Hernandez. What's up, Ionis? Thank you very much for the questions. He says, I'm new here. I have some questions for you to talk about, if that's okay. What did you think of the finale of Power Rangers Dino Supercharge? Is it me, or did the ending make absolutely no sense? Keeper revealing that all 10 Energems were able to create time travel. It felt like the writers thought kids would be stupid and just go with it. It was really cool with Earth was practically destroyed because of the Dark Energem, but Keeper sending the Rangers back in time to literally episode 1 of Dino Charge was a huge head scratcher, especially when the timeline was restored. But with the dinosaurs not extinct, thanks to the Ranger stopping Sledge's bomb from sending asteroids to kill the dinosaurs. Can I be honest with you, Ionis? That just made me scratch my head. Because honestly, I did not watch the finale of Dino Supercharge. I ended up unfortunately falling off of Dino Supercharge maybe like 4 or 5 episodes into that season. I think I was doing reviews and I think I dropped off. Maybe no, that's not true. I think I dropped off my reviews about maybe 8 or 7. I don't know if Dino AJ is in the chat or not, but I think AJ might remember where I left off of my reviews of Dino Supercharged, but I never finished it. And there's a part of me that's kind of glad that I never finished it because based off of some of the things that people have told me about it, and then just your paragraph here, it made me scratch my head. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have been the biggest fan of it, honestly. But maybe I should go back and finish it just to see. Maybe I'll have a different opinion. What was your initial reaction when Hasbro revealed that Mick from Ninja Steel was returning for Power Rangers Dino Fury? Were you nervous or excited to see him again, especially with Kelson Anderson being a huge fan favorite since SPD? I was really nervous. Really nervous, yeah. Um, you know, always great to see Kelson Henderson back. Always. I really do love Kelson. For me, while I wasn't the biggest fan of Ninja Steel, Mick was a fun character for me. I enjoyed his performance as Mick. So there was a part of me that was like, "Oh, that's cool. Mick's returning." One of my favorite parts of Ninja Steel. But at the same time, it did worry me because you just don't know how much of Ninja Steel they're going to be bringing over, right? You don't know how fully invested they're going to be in regards to tackling a Ninja Steel kind of storyline. But the fact that they just used Mick as a connective tissue for the Nexus Prism to just expand the storyline of Dino Fury, I thought was handled beautifully. But I'm not going to lie, I was nervous as hell. I was pretty nervous. Some of the best and worst moments of both Gokaiger and Super Mega Force or Beast Morphers and Ninja Steel as a whole. I'm not a fan of Super Mega Force. If anything, I think the best 2 attributes is probably anything that Jake and Gia were up to. Best and worst moments of Gokaiger? God. Probably worst moments for me when it comes to Gokaiger, probably the Car Ranger homage episodes. Just way too crazy for me and a little too over the top for me. Best moments, probably anything Joe related. Joe and Marvelous is their backstory, how they became part of the team. There's so much good, great moments about Gokaiger for sure. As far as Beast Morphers and Ninja Steel, I still think the musical episode for Beast Morphers is definitely a best moment. Worst moment for Ninja Steel, God, probably finding his dad and then his dad having no impact in second season. Like, what was the point of all this, guys? He's not even around. He's still a deadbeat dad. but that's just me. A couple other questions. We still got a few more questions, guys. Dino AJ says, sending my questions early because by this weekend I will be flying to another island here in the Philippines. My first time flying on the plane across the Philippines. Hey, be safe out there. This is just rumors or fake leaks until we get official confirmation. But with the screenshot of the cast listing on Twitter of Void Knight and Centaur being called Void King and Void Queen for season 2 of Dino Fury, do we think we get more backstory of Void Knight and Centaur's life together before the events of Dino Fury? Perhaps they were Rangers or Knights of Ravkon or a different planet. And see how both got to the situation they are now, like Centaur being in stasis pod, basically in a coma, and how exactly the gentleman got the Void Knight armor. Plus, the origin of the armor itself, especially since Zato knows of the armor from the beginning of this series. Yeah, I do think that season 2 will be filling in a lot of the, I don't want to say filling in the void, but I guess pun intended there. But yeah, I have a feeling. I think Simon Bennett did mention there's plenty more Void Knight story to certainly go around. So I think his connections to Centaura still being alive, will certainly go a long way. Remember in Lost Galaxy when Leo faced off against Trakina directly during the 3-part finale? Yeah, he ripped his shirt off to show how badass he was and morphed. Yeah, I remember that. Which you prefer, him or Cole when it came to Cole? Cole. I'm pretty sure even to this day, this made a lot of women who were kids back then. I'm not even gonna continue this. Yes, if I had to guess, Cole. For me, I would say Cole. How surprised were you that Power Rangers in Space was such an amazing season after the disappointment with Turbo? I was really surprised. And that In Space itself at the time was a huge risk considering a Super Sentai source material. Mega Ranger was a video game themed Sentai. Most of the fight footage was in a video game, so the Rangers themselves never actually left Earth. Oh, interesting. Damn, that's interesting. That's pretty ambitious adaptation then. This also applies to Lost Galaxy, which Gingaman was an Earth-based Sentai that became a space opera action adventure, just like In Space, by having its series take place on a space colony, Tower Venture, where its main purpose was to look for a new world and stop Trakina. That's pretty cool. That's some pretty bold adaptation, then, man. I'm actually pretty surprised about that. But I was surprised that In Space was as good as it certainly was. After Turbo, I felt like it had no business being that good, but yeah, they succeeded for sure. Adrian Perez. Adrian's got a couple questions. How thrilled are you that Power Rangers is no longer on Nickelodeon, now on Netflix, and that Dino Fury is the series to do it? I'm super pumped. This was a long time coming. They should have pulled the trigger about 2-3 years ago, if you ask me. But I'm super pumped. I think this is a brand new day for Power Rangers. With season 2 coming to Netflix, you talked about that if we get either the entire series at once or split into 2 parts, we will still get a hiatus regardless. Do you think that if that were to be the entire season, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for fans to wait longer for the next season, which is the next adaptation, considering how huge and well received the fandom has really been enjoying Dino Fury around the world so far? For some reason, I feel like it's more acceptable for fans to get an entire season dropped on them at once, and then wait like a good year for the next season. I don't know why that is, but I feel like shows that we binge watch on Netflix, we'll get an entire season, we'll love it, and then production, it'll take another year or maybe 2 before like a year and a half for the next season to actually drop or so. And I think we're perfectly okay with it. I mean, granted, we're eager for it to return, but it feels like we accept it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Um, Same thing with well, I guess with CW shows it's vastly different. We usually don't have to wait that long with like actual televised series, right? Like usually a series will wrap up in like April and May, June, July, August, September, October. So usually within like 4 to 5 months the show is kind of back. So we don't really have to wait for syndicated shows to return that long. But I feel like when it comes to Netflix, we do tend to be a little bit more forgiving. when it comes to streaming services. So yeah, even there's a entire season, or even if it's just split up into two parts, there's still going to be a hiatus. But I think it's something that we would be able to swallow a little bit easier. And I think it's a lot to do with the replay value. The fact that if it's on a streaming service, we can just go back to it. You know what I mean? If it's on Nickelodeon, it's a little bit harder to be able to revisit those episodes, especially if they're not being broadcast anywhere else. So I think it being on Netflix, it's just easier to go back and re-binge the season if we're really anticipating more of it. What are some of your favorite plot twists in Power Rangers of Sentai? You may include Dino Fear with Void Knight's reveal of his plan with Santora. Favorite plot twists. Gokaiger's. Damn, I can't remember Bosco's monkey's name. But Bosco's monkey, the twist in regards to turning her back on Bosco was a pretty cool twist. I really appreciated that. I even really appreciated the twist in Ten Gokaiger recently of the little kid that Marvelous talked to in the very first episode or two, I think, of the series, returning for the movie. I thought that was actually pretty cool too. I don't really feel like we get a lot of plot twists when it comes to Power Rangers. Although the reveal of his plans with Santora was pretty impactful. I don't know the plot. I don't know if that's even a twist. The idea of Steel turning into a boy. I think when we were reviewing Beast Morphers, that was always an option. But I remember thinking to myself, I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but they did manage to do so. I'm kind of curious if you guys have any other plot twists from Power Rangers or Super Sentai. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Definitely like Tokuger. Tokuger season, I felt like was the entire plot twist in and of itself. The reveal and everything about who they truly were. That was kind of mind blowing to me, also a little bit. So Tokuger, I think, is a really good example of plot twist and mystery, also. Skylar, we got some questions from Skylar. What are your thoughts on what were some of your favorite Megazord introductions in Power Rangers? You may search Ranger Wiki as you read this. Yeah, I might have to do that. As far as introductions, that I don't know off the top of my head, but I will say I was always a big fan of the Dino Thunder Zords. I always thought those were pretty cool introductions, and just designs in and of themselves. I don't know. I feel like Megazord introductions these days just tend to be pretty copyright paste, all kind of handled the same way in a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong. I did think the Mosa Rex Sword was actually pretty cool introduction, though. With David Yost's own reunion series of bringing back all original 5 MMPR Rangers, do you think David can convince Austin and JDF to put aside whatever their differences for the reunion? Or one of them will be written out and just referenced? Jason said many times in cons that he's still close with everyone and still talks to them. If Austin and JDF don't return together, who do you think will... I think if anybody can bring them together, I think it's probably David. If he's got a really compelling piece, I do think that he can convince them both to come back. But if they don't come back together, who do you think will show up? Austin. I say Austin. I'm not sure if you answered this before, but do you think that post MMPR, later Power Rangers seasons seem to have more or actual stories, plots? Obviously, MMPR was the first series, so it took a while after the introduction arc of Tommy. Post Mighty Morphin seem to have more actual stories and plots. Yeah, I mean, I think the series and franchise probably just grows over time and starts establishing itself just a little bit better. So yeah, I would agree with that. Um, oh, I missed one from Jessica Friedman. Would you like to see a new generation of MMPR Rangers who protect Angel Grove with one of the OG Rangers as their mentor? In that scenario, no. I rather I don't mind the new generation of MMPR Rangers, but I don't want them in Angel Grove. And yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Laura's got a couple questions. What are your thoughts about the new Sentai? Well, from what I've seen so far, I'm really excited for it. I think the costumes look great. I'm really fascinated by the idea of exploring the Japanese fairy tale for Momotaro, being introduced to that and seeing how they adapt that into a series of its own. I'm curious about the CGI characters, a little bit worried, but I think the costumes and the designs look pretty legit. But I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to it. Don Momotaro's debut left an impression on me in Zenkaiger. Um, I think his catchphrase, I don't know if he's gonna have a catchphrase, but I think his gimmick is gonna be laughter, just from what I saw in Momotaro, the Momotaro debut. But we haven't seen the seasons yet, so I'm definitely gonna hold my judgment. But first impressions, very positive. Remember when Zenkaigers were fighting a monster who made everyone play tag? Maybe our Imaginatrix Rangers can do the same, except the darkness can come from everyone's exhaustion. How's that? That's pretty cool. I kind of dig that idea. Or haven't played Duck Duck Goose. That's always a good one. Doomsday's got a couple questions. Do you like or not like how the Go Rangers do their roll call in every single episode? Um, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Considering Go Rangers being the very first series, it feels very experimental to me. But I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. Like for me, the roll calls are always hilarious to me in a sense that whenever they drop, whenever they surround their foe, I'm like, you about to get that ass kicked. Like the villain just never has a chance. And I do love the roll call in a sense, especially like when they pop up in the most random places. Like you usually will see them perched on top of like hills or on top of a cliff sort of thing individually. And it'll go around to each of them as they do the roll call. Sometimes I've seen them on like these big ass scaffolds, like hundreds of feet in the air. Like, be careful up there, guys. Like, I think they have some pretty cool roll calls, but it doesn't bother me. If I can have a roll call every episode, I probably would take it. I've been wondering, how would you adapt Kira Major? I don't know how I would adapt it, but I definitely would make it a Zeo sequel or influenced by sequel, and probably even somehow incorporate Beyond the Grid in there with like since Kara Major, the main focus, I don't want to say the main focus, but you've got Crystalia there and you've got alien creatures and stuff. Whether or not they use the alien creatures or whatnot, I wouldn't mind them establishing like maybe a planet from the Beyond the Grid story arc as the planet for these Zeo crystals, if you will, and then have something happen there. So I think you could probably make it work, but it probably would be a combination of a Zeo sequel and maybe some inspiration or influences from the Beyond the Grid storyline in there too. Would it be cool or weird if Power Rangers and Marvel did a collaboration with each other? I don't think it would be weird at all. I would love to see Power Rangers facing off against the Avengers. Maybe not movie wise, maybe comic book wise. I can see comic book wise doing some sort of crossover there. And then last two sets of questions. We got Ram Jam here. Ram Jam says, "Hey Adam, hope you and your family are doing well. We are, thank you. What direction do you think the Power Ranger universe reboot will go?" I'm all for the whole shattered grid idea, like towards the end, or just giving us eventually like a really big overall threat, um, that I think splits off and has impact in all the little films and series and things like that that they're going to tackle. Um, and then definitely having them converge. Like I definitely want my stories to interconnect. So give me like a Power Ranger movie, give me a spin-off of that movie as a immediate sequel, maybe even give me a prequel film, whether that be animated or live action, that encompasses the main storyline but builds that lore to it, more connective tissues. Give me something in the realm of animation too, whether that be series and the kids programming. Like I would love to see all of that, if done properly, over time lead to a big sort of crossover multiverse movie. I personally would love to see that. But I just want to see some uniqueness and something different. I don't know what direction Jonathan Entwistle will certainly go in. Whether that's a 3-person team, um, which I think it probably will start off as, maybe grow into a 5-person team. Either or, I'm perfectly okay with. I just want it to be new, fresh, not fully forget about the past that came before it, and just having fun with it, man. Do you think Zock's brothers will become humans in Donbrothers? I hope that they become humans in Zenkaiger. If not, what the fuck am I watching Zenkaiger for? I was a little bit disappointed in this week's episode. You literally get the SD world that you've been asking for all season long to destroy him and revert back your brothers. The idea of them defeating SD world and everybody else being reverted back, yet not their brothers, doesn't make any damn lick of sense to me personally. Maybe I was hoping that this episode was going to be the payoff, considering that there's only 4 episodes left. But who knows? I mean, maybe the Zenkaiger writers can surprise me. And maybe their story's not finished yet, and there's more to certainly be told. If they don't turn back to humans, I'm going to be pissed. And if they pop up in the end of this season as humans, I'm going to be pissed because I want to see how they actually turn back to being kids. The idea of having to wait for this storyline to play itself out into Donbrothers would just be an atrocious idea. You've carried me along for 40 plus episodes of Zenkaiger already. I better get the resolution to some damn storyline in this series. Considering the fact that all these storylines, the depth of them is as shallow as a kiddie pool. To be perfectly honest with you guys. And yet somehow they've managed to draw these mediocre storylines out for 45 plus episodes. Like there are a lot of this stuff that honestly could have been handled and resolved in like 10 freaking episodes. Yet you get me sticking around for 40 plus episodes and still have not resolved anything. We found her mom, but the mom's gone now. Okay. Dad's back up, but guess what? Dad said farewell. He's gone too. So we did all this fucking work for these people to have 1 episode cameos. We tried to find SD world for 40 plus episodes, and you don't even give me the end result of these kids turning back to their normal human selves. Again, listen, I'm gonna give Toei and Zenkaiger the benefit of the doubt. The series isn't over yet, so maybe they definitely have a great way of executing it. But damn, if you have not made me sit through 40 plus episodes and resolved nothing, you gotta resolve something. I don't want anything major. I can't say I don't want anything major. I wouldn't mind a cliffhanger from Zenkaiger into Donbrothers. But if I've got 3, 4 storyline threads that haven't been concluded in Zenkaiger and I still gotta follow along with Donbrothers for those to come to conclusion, I think that's just bad storytelling. Honestly, I think that's just bad storytelling. If you want to resolve 2, maybe 3, but leave 1 major plot open, I'm cool with that. I'm perfectly cool with that. But I need some resolutions. I need some resolutions and stat. Do you think the name of the Power Rangers Legends of the Morphing Grid, if Hasbro did animated show for Netflix in the same style animation as Voltron, what do I think of the name Power Rangers Legends of the Morphing Grid? If they did Legends of the Morphing Grid I wouldn't mind that as a title of a show. It's just a matter of what are you gonna do with it. You know, when you say Legends of the Morphin Grid, that makes me feel very much like an anthology series, like it's going to be exploring other Power Ranger teams that maybe have come from the Morphin Grid, right? Other legends, if you will, that came out of the Morphin Grid. That's kind of where I hear. I don't mind the name of it. I really don't mind the name of it. I wish we had the animation style of Voltron. I would be down for it. I think they actually just, I could be wrong, but let me see. There's a new Amazon original series that's animated. Let me see. It's like Zox something. Um, let me see. Was it Legend? Damn, I don't remember what the name of the title is. Oh, The Legend of Vox Machina. Legend of Vox Machina. I bring that up because when I look at images of it, for some reason, I feel like this might be the same art company that did. Yeah, it's an Amazon original series, The Legend of Vox Machina. I've been hearing some good things about it, but I feel like that art style might actually be the same company that did Voltron. So I could be wrong. I'll have to look it up. But if they are, they might have their hands full. So I don't know if they're going to be tackling Power Rangers animated series or not. But you know, Joe Deckelmeyer from the Illuminati has sworn up and down that if you look deep enough on Twitter, that you might be able to find some hints at the maybe the art or like the Power Ranger animated stuff. But you know, I have not been able to locate it, or maybe it's staring me directly in the face, and I don't even know that that's the art style that they're going to be going with. Um, but I'm open to either. I mean, Voltron for me would be great. I do think it would be right up there, but I think there's plenty of different art styles they could tackle. And last but not least, the birthday boy himself, Johnny Marrero's got a couple of questions. Save the best for last, Johnny. Happy birthday again, man. Do you think the time travel Power Ranger movie could still cause? I'm not so sure about the updates. There hasn't been any confirmation with Hasbro. Yeah, no confirmation from Hasbro yet. So as always, we just simply say, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Um, do I think time travel could still be important? You know, I'm gonna go with the idea of it not being in there anymore. You know, if you tell me we had a script, but we've been changing things, we brought in a brand new writer, I would think that they probably would maybe change course. So if I had to assume, again, this is just me assuming, I don't know anything for sure, but I would assume the idea of there no longer being time travel in the movie will probably be accurate. You know, I don't know if that causes too much of a dilemma when it comes to time traveling, having to juggle so many things and lose focus of what you really want to focus on. Who knows? But if they've had a new writer, if they've had several different drafts, they're finally happy with it, I can see the time traveling aspect change. And I think that's one of the things that we talked about, right? Was, you know, knowing that there was a new writer on board. You know, we're not even sure what or if any from the previous script will make its way into this particular film, since it is two completely different writers. So maybe they changed course, and so I'm under the belief that they probably have. Will we get something for the 30th anniversary? I'm still hoping for both for both Zoologer and Quantum Continuum to happen. That would be pretty fantastic. I would love to see both of those happen. Um, Again, I don't necessarily know if we need Zoologer. If anything, if everything is going smoothly with the reboot, again, myself, I would be okay with the idea of taking like a year hiatus off of Power Rangers for new content and just something for 30th anniversary. Um, but it would be cool to have Zoologer and both Quantum Continuum there for a 30th anniversary. I do think we're going to get something regardless. What that's going to be, I don't fully officially know, But I definitely do think we will get something. I think Hasbro's fully aware of the 30th anniversary and approaching, and I think they might have something up their sleeves. And so I am looking forward to seeing what that announcement is going to be. But remember, guys, we also have that fourth quarter earnings call this upcoming February 7th. So maybe we get a little bit more insight in regards to the future of Power Rangers. Then, not expecting anything. They don't always mention anything, but that's the next time that the big boys over at Hasbro do any kind of discussing. So we'll see what they have in store for us. I will grab a couple of last minute comments. JB says, Wes says, oh, I didn't know Pink was a male. Yeah, it got mentioned to me too because I think originally I mentioned him as a female, but they corrected me. Let's see here. As Karoma said, Tom Brady retired. What? Did we get they get an announcement? Did they post that somewhere? Do I got an update? I'm sure. Oh yeah, I guess so. Oh snap! Has finally happened. Tom is officially retiring. Damn, Tom Brady's retiring. That's crazy. I mean, look, the guy's got nothing left to prove. I don't blame him, man. He proved this point. He's capable of winning a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. Um, what 6 rings with the Patriots, 7th with the Buccaneers. He holds like all the records in the NFL, it feels like, at least just based off of like his longevity and stuff. I mean, the guy's done everything. Love him or hate him, man. I mean, it's hard to argue the fact that he's not the GOAT with everything that he's accomplished in his career. And I don't think anybody can ever take that away from him, man. Tom Brady has always been a thorn in everybody's side for so many years. I personally would have liked to have seen him maybe take one more shot with the Buccaneers. They were missing Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin. I think really could have helped them out in regards to making even another Super Bowl push, even though they did make it to the playoffs. But Tom Brady, I would have liked to have seen him have one more shot next season with everybody, but extended seasons now, still only one bye week. Homeboy's about to be pushing 45 years old. You got a family. He looks great. I really want to see what his second career outside of football is really going to look like. So, who knows? Maybe they'll name a trophy or MVP or something after him. But that's crazy. Thank you for the update, S. Chroma. Yeah, definitely the GOAT for sure. And I don't think that's even debatable anymore. Usai, what's up, Usai? Super late, but what's good? Adam had to show some A+ love to the dopest Ranger community on YouTube. Hey, man, we really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Usai. I appreciate it. That means a lot. So Rob says, while the Indian series and movies have now been making strides in LGBTQ representation, they still cast non-LGBTQ actors because the audience still isn't receptive to the community at large. That's interesting, so Rob. I didn't know that. So thank you very much for opening my eyes to that. That's why I was saying I don't necessarily know what Tessa is. I don't know what she represents herself as, so I'm not really quite sure. I just think some people make too much of a deal of it. The ripping off of the skirt, Minnie Mouse wearing a pantsuit now. Like there are plenty of women in this day and age that wear pantsuits. Like it don't mean anything. Like she's tired of wearing a fucking dress, guys. Can she change? That's like us getting tired of Power Ranger characters always wearing the same damn outfits every episode, right? Like can we get a change, please? So yeah. Sonny, what's up, Sonny? Appreciate you coming through. Saying I'm so hyped for Dino Fury season 2. Me too, man. After I'm rewatching the second half of season 1, and it's just continuing to remind me how much I missed this show already. I'm really ready for it to come back. Yusai, he says, Super Mega Force was the ultimate disappointment, but now you know I stand marvelous. So to have a character as lame as Troy butcher such an iconic suit is so lame. I mean, I'm okay with butchering Alada's Ghost Sager outfit, but Marvelous the Goat, nah, get that mega trash out of here. Yeah, he definitely did not do Captain Marvelous any justice whatsoever. Yeah, Datilla says, I feel like MMPR was a whole monster of the week. While in later seasons, they were actual storylines like Jen avenging Alex or Andros trying to find Corone. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Common Writer says, I'd like to call the Caramager adaptation Power Rangers Crystal Drive. Oh, that's pretty cool. I kind of dig the sound of that. Byron, what's up, Byron? Is Power Rangers Dino Fury Season 2 coming out in March or April? If I had to put my money on it, I would say April. I would say April, but I would not mind being wrong. Okay. Byron tends to agree. Take inspiration from Beyond the Grid storyline, and it would be a combination of both Zeo and Lost Galaxy. Yeah, that's kind of my mindset that I'm in right now. Datilla says whatever they are planning, they will reveal it at Power Morphicon. Interesting. We'll see. When is Power Morphicon again? Is it like August? I believe. We'll see. We'll see. But Byron says, "What's up, man? Good to see you. Thank you very much for certainly joining us. We're actually about to wrap up here. But again, remember, guys, anytime during the week, if you have any live viewer questions, feel free to submit them over to aplusmorphinominal at gmail.com. Also, if you want to go ahead and join us in our Discord community, please go ahead and do so. There is a link in the description box below if you'd like to continue having conversations and connecting with other viewers and things like that from our community outside of our YouTube page. Datilla does confirm August 26th. And so does JB August. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that there's a little bit more of an announcement before then, but we'll see. The way that they have their announcements, I feel like there's no rhyme or reasons or plans. I'm sure for them, but like I have no idea when they're going to review this type of stuff. So we'll see. We'll see if we get anything like that in August or before. We're so used to Power Morphicon revealing sort of the brand new seasons, right, and the brand new teams. Things have kind of significantly changed, I think, with the maneuvering over at Netflix. So I am kind of curious as to how this new partnership and stuff is all going to work out, right? In regards to the big announcements that it winds up that they usually wind up giving. If those announcements will be done differently, similar to how like the Hasbro PulseCon, I think, didn't they introduce or reveal the Power Rangers, the cast of Power Rangers and things like that. So I'm wondering if the reveals like that will be controlled more by Hasbro at Hasbro PulseCon more so than Power Morphicon. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Gamer Force Ranger says, is Sentai adaptation will continue in 2024 or not? I'm not under the impression. I'm very much under the impression, gamers, that while the formula for kids programming may certainly stay the same with this Jonathan Entwistle stuff, I think it's probably the formula of Monster of the Week resolving itself in one episode, but all original footage with maybe all original costume designs. But I could be wrong. So I'm not expecting Sentai adaptions after Dino Fury, or if we do get Zoologer after Zoologer. I think everything else would be original footage. So for that, I would probably say not. But again, that's just how I'm feeling about it. All right, guys. Other than that, that will certainly go ahead and do it for us here. So thank you very much for everybody that certainly participated in the discussion aspect, delivering some live viewer questions for us, and certainly joining us for all of our amazing topics here this week. But remember, at the end of the day, these are just simply my A plus opinions. I definitely want to go ahead and know yours. So let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this particular video airs. and we'll definitely see you guys next week. If anything does change, we'll definitely keep you up to date over on our community tab, along with our Discord forum for you guys, and definitely look forward to our Zenkaiger review for you guys this week, and maybe we'll even have some other content to drop for you guys as well. But until then, that certainly will do it for us here. If you guys are interested in Marvel and DC stuff, certainly go ahead and reach us on our other show, which streams live tomorrow, Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time for APlus Hero Report. The Tilla will certainly be there. Will you is the question. So definitely go ahead and join us then. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for us here. We'll certainly see you next week. But until then, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.